What's up this afternoon, everyone? Welcome. Fine Tuesday to you all. Good to see you. Cat Cam fan. Hey, I have a Cease here. Cease. It's okay. Come here. Someone wants to see you. Look. I know you were sleeping. She was sleeping. But here's the Cease for the day. Hello. What's up, Monster CC? Mega Fox Dr. Shandor. How is everyone doing today? Arocalypse, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big soup cheer for you. Thank you. Is Murder's the first? We got the Cat Cam fan cam going for CC. Hey, Cease. How are you, Cease? Is Murder's the first set designed with 3-year rotational mind? I believe that they said that Murder's... Hey, what's up, Rucker? How are you? I believe that they said it was the first set that was partially designed that way. And like, I don't know if it was Outlaws or Bloomborough is the first one that's like fully designed that way. Are we going to do more floor magic today? Oh my goodness. I think I'm too old for floor magic. My God. Oh, that was so fun. It was Chicago was super fun. We did play on the floor for a while. And it was actually a fun game. I learned how to play Emperor. Have you guys ever played Emperor? Apparently Emperor is like, it's like this weird commander format, but with 6 people, and you can't attack everyone, and you have to like defend your Emperor or something. It was actually pretty cool, but I never actually played it before. You can't be too old. Oh, dude, the floor though, I'm telling you. Okay, maybe I don't know. Oh, floor magic. Yeah, Emperor was super fun. I was surprised at how fun it was. So hopefully everyone had a wonderful weekend. Hopefully I got to meet some of you in Chicago. I met so many people. If you ever, some people do this, but if you ever come up to me at a MagicCon and you're like, hey, I'm so-and-so from Twitch or so-and-so from whatever, Twitter or whatever, definitely worth it. Cause I probably met some of you without even realizing that it was you. I met so many people and signed so many things. It was super fun. It was a really fun weekend. Despite playing some floor magic. Yeah, sitting on the floor. I'm too old and big for that, I think. Anyway, we got so much to talk about. We can talk about MagicCon Chicago. I have exciting news though. So I don't know how many of you are old timers who have been around here for a minute, but I got exciting news. Starting next week, there is a Super League. I don't know if you remember the Team Modern Super Leagues. Some of my all-time favorite events that I played in. There were such good times. We had the week where we had, oh man, we had decks that were, if you put the decks in the right order for our team, it spelled out the lyrics to a Backstreet Boys song. We had the classic like 3-0 against Sam Black with the Miracles deck. That's part of why I wanted to play Miracles today. But yes, there's a new Super League. They're calling it MTGO Masters now, but it's the same thing. Starting tomorrow, my first week is next week. So next week, rather than streaming normally, our stream is going to be on Wednesday for the Super League. It's going to be on the Goldfish channel, also on the Moto channel and a bunch of other channels. But yeah, so next week's stream on Wednesday is the first week of a Super League, a modern Super League. So it's going to be super fun. I'm super hyped for this because I just have some really good memories of Super Leagues in the past. So next week, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing some Super Leaguing. And y'all got to help me figure out something fun to play in Modern. That's part of why I wanted to play Modern today is we got to figure out a deck for the Super League next week. It needs to be spicy, but maybe one that could win a little bit sometimes. Swing for Zero, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super cheer for you. Thank you. It's so the Super League, there are content creators, there are also pros in it. I don't have the complete list. I know like Brad Nelson, Reed Duke are in it. Jake Beardsley, the hat guy that won the Pro Tour, he's in it. Jarvis Woo's in it. You can see the full list. I should go over to the Magic Online account, I guess. I think they posted the full list of participants. Jarvis Woo, Eduardo, Jake Beardsley, Yara, and Emma, and Luna, and Brad Nelson, and Carmen, and me, and Reed, and Spike, and Corey. So yeah, it's like a mixture of pros and content creators, but it should be super fun. I'm super hyped for it. So we'll get to see some sweet Modern action. What about a return of Thopter Sword? Ooh, Thopter Sword could be fun. Yeah, I don't know what to play. I really don't. McIntyre, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super cheer for you. Thank you. But today we're going to try some Counterbalancing, because Counterbalance is a funny card. And apparently, so I was wondering, okay, why Counterbalance now? Why all of a sudden I could play this deck for the Super League. I've had good luck with with Miracles in Super Leagues in the past. Right after Jace was unbanned, I played Miracles in the Super League, and I did really well. I'm intrigued by Counterbalance, though. So Counterbalance, normally horrible in Modern, because you don't have Brainstorm, and you need to control the top card of your deck. If you don't know Counterbalance, whenever your opponent casts a spell, you reveal the top card of your library. If the top card of your library has the same mana value as that spell, it gets countered. So in Legacy, this used to see a lot of play, because you wait till your opponent casts a spell, then you just like Brainstorm and put the right number on top of your deck and counter everything. In Modern, it's a little bit trickier. However, we just got Surveil lands. So part of our plan is we can like fetch in response to a spell to get a Surveil land to try to set the right mana value on top of our deck. We also have like Brainstorms and Ops and Jaces and Omens of the Sea that can all control the top card of our deck. So that's kind of the plan, is like Counterbalance lock people and then I guess win with Jace eventually. So that's what we're going to try today. If we get to do more than just Miracles, I also want to build Taxes and Timeless and see. I feel like Taxes could be really good in Timeless right now. So we'll see if we get to that. But the main plan for today, playing some Modern, having some fun, talking Chicago, talking Super Leagues, and talking spoilers. We got so many spoilers. So before we get into it, Opt does not work really. No, not exactly. What Opt does do, Opt is really good at letting us instant speed a Terminus or an Entreat the Angels. So if we know we have one of these on top because of like a Jace or something, this is a way we can Terminus during our opponent's turn, Entreat the Angels during our opponent's turn. Not good at setting up Counterbalance though. Not as good at that. Yeah, so many spoilers. If you missed it, from Chicago, we got Modern Horizon spoilers, including fetch lands, which we really needed. So I'm really glad to see the allied fetch lands coming back, because those are silly expensive now. So we got MH3 spoilers. We got Outlaws at Thunder Junction spoilers, which is apparently... What do you think of this silly hats, chat? I've been going over this all week, ever since I saw these spoilers. So we just got off of... Hey, what's up, Palowel? How are you? We just got off Murders at Karlov Manor, which is a silly hat set. It's like, hey, here's all these Ravnica characters you love, with a silly detective hat. Now we're going to Outlaws at Thunder Junction, where the theme seems to be, hey, here's all these characters that you love, but with a silly cowboy hat. That was my question. What silly hat are we going to have for Modern Horizons 3? Actually, so when I was in Chicago, I got to do a panel that Mark Rosewater was on, talking about like the history of content creation. So I got to chat with Mark a little bit, and I was asking him like, oh, what upcoming sets have you been on? And one of the things he mentioned is he's especially hyped for Bloomborough. He said he thinks that Bloomborough is going to be like the big set of the year. He also said Bloomborough doesn't have a silly hat theme, so I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe that's not public information. But apparently, no silly hats are like an accidental theme. It's not an intentional theme. It's just happened to be a couple sets in a row with silly hats. Hey, thank you, Pappy Slappy. So anyway, let's talk about our deck. And then as we go along, we're going to talk spoilers and everything else. So hopefully everyone had a good weekend, but let's do our reminders real quick. So Replay YouTube, this we can find all those streams, including this one in the future. Normal YouTube, tons of stuff coming up on there. Yesterday, oh, that Lelia deck, so funny. 94 basic land Lelia, and it kind of works until people know what it's doing. But if you want a 2 rare Brawl deck, that deck was really, really, really sweet. Tomorrow, we got a fun against the odds deck, so check that out on the YouTube. A reminder that our sponsor today is Card Kingdom, and if you need some magical cards, you can get them over at cardkingdom.com/FTGoldfish. You can get a free goldfish sticker, and we have a new donation from McIntyre, $5 donation. Hey Seth, in your token burn video, you mentioned wondering why modern day decks play more lands. Isn't this due to lands being much stronger now? With MDFCs and channel lands, you decrease the odds of screw, and you can still do something if you flood. I think that's partly true, although like, a lot of decks don't have special lands, and they're still playing more lands than in the past. I think in Standard right now, channel lands definitely play into it because they're lands that work like spells. So I think channel lands, if you look at like Esper midrange, 26 lands, if it wasn't for channel lands, and I guess the Triome, I bet they'd be at like 25 maybe rather than 26. But if you count the channel lands as like half land, half spell, it kind of makes sense from that perspective. So I think that's part of it. But I also think it's just that like Magic theory has evolved to some extent. Like back in the old days, people thought that like You always would play 24 lands no matter what. And before that, it was even a lower number. Like, there was a time when people thought, like, the perfect Magic deck, I believe, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure in the 90s, they thought it was 20 lands, 20 creatures, 20 spells, and that was, like, the ideal Magic deck. So I think it's partly that, yes, we get Mirexes, we get Channel Lands, we get more lands that do things now, so you can play more of them and not flood out. But I think it's also partly that that the theory of Magic has evolved, and people realize that getting mana screw is pretty rough, and playing an extra land is a good way to avoid that. 20, yeah, the 20 land decks. How was Chicago? Chicago was surprisingly nice. It really was. I was expecting like some really crappy upstate New York weather, but it was actually like 45. The convention center was absolutely massive. The planning, maybe not an A plus, like community A plus. Like that's what made my weekend. That's the thing about going to these events. Like people come up to me and they're like, oh, you know, it made my weekend to get to see you. Literally, I know that getting to see all of you is what makes my weekend. So the community was great, and I got to jam a bunch of games. I got to meet a bunch of people. It was so awesome. The event itself, they could have planned it a little bit. I don't think they were planning on having as many people as they did, because there certainly was some floor magic. There was certainly like the command zone got like cut down, so they had more room for events and like some weird stuff like that. They ran out of like sealed product for the draft events at one point. So there were some weird planning issues that were a little clunky, but not enough to like ruin the weekend. And then the other complaints I see, and this one I think is silly, but people complain about it being too expensive. And it is too expensive, but honestly, isn't that every con? Like, I don't feel like that's, paying like, whatever, $8 for a thing of soda or $5 for a water or whatever. Yeah, that's like obviously ridiculous and super expensive. But I feel like anytime I go to anything that's like a concert or a con or something, like that's just, it sucks, but that's just how it is. So I can't really hold that like against Wizards or the con in specific, because I feel like that's just like a crappy part of going to a con is you're going to pay a lot for food and drink, unfortunately. Yeah, that's just going to an event. So I don't really hold that against. I saw some of those complaints like on Twitter and Reddit, and I was like, yeah, not having a table to play on, I think that's a legit complaint. Like that can be solved in like planning or whatever. And if you know how many people are going to be there, you should make sure like there's enough tables or whatever. So that I think is pretty legit. But like, oh, it was too expensive. Yeah, like it sucks to pay $10 for whatever. But one of the things that was weird, and I didn't notice this before, they actually had alcohol being served on site, which is something I don't remember from other cons. But back in the food area, there was definitely like a bar essentially where you could get like cocktails and drinks and stuff, which I don't really drink, so it didn't do anything for me, but I had not really seen that before. Oh yeah, Wizards did a really good job at it. They really did. The only issue was like I don't think they expected this many people. Like I think that's what it came down to, is like there were just way more people than they thought. So there just wasn't enough stuff. Like they just didn't have the setup to do like events for that many people, which I think is a good problem to have. Like it's better than no one showing up, so the pro, yeah, we can talk about the pro tour. Anyway, let's get into our games, and we'll talk about this as we go along, because I got a feeling if this goes well, we might play some pretty long games with this one. Hey Seth, I've been doing surprisingly well with this. What do you think of this deck? They allow the banned martini glasses. they were serving Halo, but it wasn't a drug. It definitely wasn't a drug. Pseudopod 3.5. Ooh, all right, Leyline Binding, Sign of Draco, Eldritch Evolution. Ooh, that looks spicy. So kind of a Cascade-style combo deck. I haven't seen that much in Modern. That looks sweet, though. I like the idea of it, for sure. Anyway, okay, so what is this deck trying to do? We kind of discussed it. So you play Counterbalance, try to counter all your opponent's stuff, cast Terminus for 1 mana as a miracle, eventually either win with Entreat the Angels to make a ton of angels, or Jason Mind Sculptor to lock your opponent out of the game. That's basically it. It's like a super annoying version of Blue-White Control. The Mega Magikarp! How are you? Good to see you, good to see ya. Are you right about you are right about Immortal Obligation. It's a bad card. Wait, what is Immortal Obligation? Immortal Obligation. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty convinced this. I mean, I will say I think it's a fun card. Have you actually played with it? I haven't played with it yet. It reads like a funny but bad card to me. Like, I could see putting it in a deck just because I think it would be funny to resolve once, but I don't expect it to actually be good. Just like, I don't want to spend a mana in a card to give you a creature. Like, I know it's goated or whatever, but still, I don't want to do that. Anyway, let's jump into a league. Also, if you have suggestions, we got to come with some spice for this Super League. So if you got suggestions of a modern deck, it is very much a Crim card. Yeah, Crim just wants to troll. He doesn't really care. I'm qualified for my first RCQ on Sunday with Blue 8 Mentor. I'm super excited. Hey, congratulations, Unbreakable Wit. That's awesome. Congrats. Did you watch thoughts on the previews? Yeah, we're definitely going to talk previews today. There's so many, which I think is sweet. But they did spoil sets like pretty far in the future. There's so much to take in. So I will say, and I want your opinion on this. So we got sets, spoilers for what, 3 sets? I guess kind of 4 sets if you count Assassin's Creed. I guess 5 if you count the bonus sheet that was supposed to be an Aftermath set, but is part of Thunder Junction. I will say, after seeing these spoilers, hype level up for basically every set they spoiled stuff from. Honestly, for me, so Bloomburrow was the set I was most like, I don't know, like, am I gonna care about this? Do I care about some all animal plane? The spoilers look cool, and as I mentioned before, I did a panel with Mark Rosewater, and he was saying he thought this was gonna be like the big set, and he was really hyped for it, and that kind of won me over, combined with the spoilers, to thinking, all right, Bloomburrow might be pretty sweet. What do you think of New Emrakul? That's probably the splashiest spoiler so far. New Emrakul, the world in new. So 12 mana, 12/12, Eldrazi. When you cast it, gain control of all creatures target player controls, flying, protection from spells, and permanents that ETB this or were cast this turn. And when it leaves the battlefield, you sack all your creatures, and you can madness it for 6 colorless. How good is New Emrakul? I've been going back and forth. On how good New Emrakul is. Yeah, Lelia is becoming one of my favorite cards. I really love Lelia. I feel like New Emrakul, if you can madness it, it seems kind of busted. And I think you can build a deck to madness it, but is it going to be worth it in a format like Modern? Do we keep this? 2 counter spells and nothing? What if they turn one Ragavan? We're just dead. Oh, that's so risky. And their Jingatha deck? What's Jingatha mean? Could be Tron. You know what? We're going to keep it. I think it's fine. The problem with, so the challenge is going to be needing... Oh, are they really just going to Ragavan us? Blood Crypt? And... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Okay. Well... life is bad. Life is bad already. Okay. Well, off to Timeless. And we've drawn all of our Surveil lands somehow. Well, we can Surveil to make sure our opponent doesn't draw anything good. Oh, God, we wanted that. You know what? Sure, you can steal our Solitude. Good luck with that, opponent. Does anyone know what the plot mechanic does? They have not announced what the plot mechanic is, so not really. What do you think of the new Emrakul in Commander? I feel like it might actually be... I don't want to say problematic, but I think it's a card people are going to not like in Commander. Because it just targets one person. It just targets one person and steals all their creatures. So I think, and it's going to be very hard to kill minus a Wrath. So I think it's going to be kind of a salty Commander card. You should really consider some sort of Agatha Soul Cauldron deck with Priest of Forgotten Rites and Zombie Dredge stuff. Ooh. Oh, I like that idea. I guess it does make you a target, but you also have you do have an Emrakul, a 12/12 that's pretty hard to kill. My goodness. All right. Probably shouldn't have kept this hand, I guess. We even talked about the potential of the turn 1 Ragavan, but yeah, I guess we should have just not kept this. This is way too slow. Opponent is basically playing Timeless. So far, all their cards are Timeless legal, I think. Well, all right, here comes the dorks. Ragavan, opponent, all the mana. Sure. steals a Terminus. Hey, we would have liked to hit that. That would have been pretty nice. This stupid monkey. My birthday lines up with about a month or so after MH3. Hoping that the full art windswept seats will be affordable by then. I'm an Absen lover, and Selesnya side of the equation is my favorite part of it all. I think that might be the biggest news of these spoilers is, well, I guess we just take another scry land. I don't even know what we're scrying for. Probably the Terminus that our opponent just stole, but, entreat, not now. Yeah. Our deck has not been kind so far this game. All right, untap. We draw an opt. Well, let's play the archive. We're not supposed to draw all 4 of these. Keep the land on top, pass the turn. MH3, so the dates on the sets. Let me see if I remember this correctly. The other kind of interesting news is... so Bloomborough actually releases, and a Bowmaster. Do we just counter this because we can? I mean, we're going to die with 2 counter spells in hand, so I guess yes. Oh, and they're going to counter back too. Oh, dear goodness. I mean, we could still hit a Terminus, right? It's still possible that we hit a Terminus. Dogamith with the gifts up to Mega Magikarp. Welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super for you. Thank you. So the upcoming sets, Modern Horizons 3, I believe, is July. It might be the end of June, actually. So Outlaws of Thunder Junction spoilers start in a month. So they release in like 6 weeks for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And then after Outlaws of Thunder Junction, we have... So I think the actual setup is in June, we get Modern Horizons 3. In July, we get Assassin's Creed. And then in August, we get Bloomborough, the beginning of August. And that means rotation happens in August. So rotation going to come a little bit earlier this year. This is the deck I run in Legacy with Terminus and Beans. Supper Twiddly with Portents, Brainstorms, and Predicts. Yeah, the challenge in Modern is we don't have Brainstorms or Predicts or Portents. So it's a little harder to set up the Counterbalance. But yeah, Miracles used to be like the best deck in Legacy at one point. Seth, I just watched your Mono Red 49 land deck. What a sick build. Love the video. Hey, thank you. Yeah, normally rotation's like September. So now rotation's like a month earlier in August, which kind of makes sense because if you look at last year, we would get like, we had Wilds of Eldraine in September, and then like 6 weeks later or something, we had the second set of the year in Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So it seems like they're spreading it out a little bit more, like a month. Yeah. I mean, we're pretty much Terminus or bust. And they stole one of our Terminuses. And even if we Terminus, we should be fine. So we can like, okay, so we get a blind shot at Terminus. And then we can Surveil land, opt during our opponent's turn to try to hit Terminus. And potentially leave up a counter. Well, come on, Terminus. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. That's an island. That is not a miracle. Well, Polluted Delta. Crag Polluted Delta. Get a Thundering Falls. Terminus. Solitude. Good card. Not at the moment. Well, all right. We're going to pass. Go to our opponent's upkeep. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. Poor Seth. You still think rotation's coming? Didn't you know they're just going to announce a new 4-year standard cycle? Don't even say that. Don't even say it. This does mean we don't get to leave a counter up. Well, that's a Jace. That's not a Terminus. Is this a Terminus? No. All right. Well, we should not have kept the land counter spell hand. We got super punished. What do we have? Okay, so Stern Scolding's good. Do we want a Subtlety? Is Subtlety even worth it? So what's bad in this matchup? Counterbalance actually seems really effective if we can get it down. Their deck's all like ones and twos. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah. So what do you think about we have so much to talk about. So much catching up to do, Chad. It's only been a week. So, one of the things they announced, I don't know if it's in this article or not. They announced that alongside Modern Horizons 3, there's going to be Commander precons. I remember last time we had Modern Horizons, everyone's like, oh, Commander Horizons, it's really and then it broke the format or whatever. So it was Modern Horizons. But that was one of the big criticisms was, oh, it's actually all Commander cards. This time WotC's just embracing it. They're embracing it full on Commander precons. Yeah, it's it's such a funny, it just sounds funny, right? Like, here's this direct to Modern set specifically for Modern. But we have Commander precons. WotC does like money. The other thing, oh yeah, we also didn't talk about them ending a bunch of languages. We have so much to talk about. Does that affect any of you directly? Like, so the other thing they announced a few days ago is they were putting an end to printing cards in. They're putting an end to printing cards in Portuguese and simplified Chinese. What do you think of Maro's reasoning for not having modern event decks? Ooh, boy. Ooh, I mean, it's true. Let's see if I can find the actual post. Oh, they also announced that Enters the Battlefield is becoming Enters, which I think that's a good change. Oh, what was the Mark? So Mark Rosewater, they asked Mark about. I can't find the actual post at the moment, but they asked Mark basically why Commander precons and not modern event decks. And the TLDR, from what I remember, was essentially the price that we would have to sell, or we would sell modern event decks for, would be higher than the players would want to pay. Essentially, like we would charge more than people would want to pay for them. I think that is the true answer, and I know. So I know the counterpoint to that is all cardboard costs the same. It doesn't actually cost WotC more. It doesn't actually cost WotC more to print a fetch land than it does to print a basic land, because it's all just cardboard, right? It's all just cardboard, which is true. But I think from WotC's perspective, this Mark gave the real answer. The real answer is, they're in the business of making money off Magic cards, and they're not going to print a $500 deck and sell it for $100, which is the price that it would need to go to really be successful, or something like that, whatever the exact numbers are. So I think that Mark was... One thing I wonder about Mark is why he answers all the questions he does sometimes, and I respect him for doing it. He puts himself up there way more than he probably needs to. And I think in this case, he gave the actual answer from WotC's perspective, which is, we're going to make less money. If we did that, we would make less money, because we'd either have to charge so much that no one would buy them, and then the product flops, or we charge little and it eats into our reprint equity, and then we make less money in the long run. So I think he spoke the truth of WotC's perspective. I'm kind of surprised he did, actually, because it seems like an easy place to just not comment, just not say anything. Yeah, I think the Brazilian community, I think gets hurts the worst by the language changes, which is, I mean, we have lots of Pro Tour competitors, and like the Brazilian community has had a big impact on Magic, and it's too bad to see them hurt by this change. A change that I don't really oh, they can drown in the locket, though. Do we even cast it? Let's just wait. We're going to be responsible. We do want to get down this counterbalance. That is our big card, but we're going to wait. We're going to wait and leave up our counters. We can opt to hit a land drop. Opponent, Watery Grave. Mario's just answering questions so that Blake doesn't have to answer the questions. That might be true, actually. So out of the sets we've seen, which one are you most hyped for? Bloomborough, Modern Horizons 3, Assassins. Also, so chat, you probably know this better than me because I know you know me. I don't know anything about pop culture stuff. Well, we would have had to crack the fetch. We would have had to crack the fetch to play the counterbalance. So we would have had 2 spells in our graveyard. So they could have done it. Well, I think we're gonna try to counter this. Get an island. Cast a counter spell. Because we do really want this counterbalance. Now I think we're just going to... Oh, okay, we're definitely just going to jam it. So we're going to play blue to Delta. And let the fun begin. Counterbalance. No. They got us. They got us. They slow rolled the spell pierce. Yeah. They could have forced through the... Wouldn't it have made more sense to force through the... Thoughtseize? MH3, because it's the only set in Magic this year that actually feels like it's in the Magic universe. I don't know. Bloomborough seems pretty magic-y to me. Bloomborough reminds me of Throne of Eldorade. But, so Assassin's Creed, is the gimmick of Assassin's Creed that it's assassins going back to kill, like, historical figures? Is that kind of the whole gimmick? Because that's, interesting. We could just slam a Jace. What cards do we miss after rotation? I'm counting down the days until rotation. I honestly... will I miss any cards? I'm just ready for a change. Even the cards that I like from the rotating sets, they've been in standard for so long that I'm ready for them to go. So what'll be leaving? Innistrad, both Innistrad sets, Kamigawa, Streets of New Capenna. There are cards I like in those sets. Like, what's a card that I play a lot from those sets? Farewell. I'm going to be very... I'm going to be very sad to see Farewell leaving standard. Wandering Emperor. I don't know what I'll do without wedding announcement. Whatever will I do without wedding announcement to come down on turn 3 and take over the game? I don't know. I probably miss like Big Score. I like Big Score. Big Score is a sweet card. There's some jank cards that never took off, like the Ascendancy cycle. I remember when Streets of New Capenna came out, I was really hyped about like Riveteer's Ascendancy and Broker's Ascendancy, and they never made it. So it'll be a little sad. Mirror Box is like just a really unique card that does something no other cards don't really do. So some of those cards, I guess I will miss a little bit, but overall, I am waiting for rotation, ready and waiting. Over under on Brainstorm in Modern. I don't think they'll do it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, Shieldred doesn't actually even rotate this year, G Fuel Cold. It doesn't rotate. Neither does Sunfall. Do we just crack the Brainstone? Probably not. Let's untap. Let's draw. We draw an Oust. If we crack this, in response, they're going to flash in a Bowmasters and we're going to get wrecked. Well, I guess it's Kahira time. Boom. How do you like us now? Go. We lose a bunch of sweepers, but there's many more in the format. So we're not gonna be short on sweepers by any stretch. Warden Bob, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big scoop for you. Thank you. Why no Hall of Heliod's Generosity in the deck? We could be returning Counterbalance and Omens back to our hand from the graveyard. Well, there's a Bowmasters. We had an idea that would be a thing. Bowmaster seems pretty good against. Where's all of our Terminuses? We have not been good at finding Terminuses yet. Yeah, I could see playing one Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Although, is it worth it? I mean, yeah. Being able to I like the idea of being able to put it back on top to counter something with. I think we got to crack this. I like the idea of being able to put it back on top to be able to counter something with Counterbalance. That is a pretty neat little synergy. Pluto Delta, we will keep it. I mean, we're to the point where we can hardcast the Solitude, which is good. We do need to deal with this Bowmasters at some point. So wait, I missed the comments on Assassin's Creed. So Assassin's Creed is the idea of the game. Your assassins going back to like kill Cleopatra, or like the Ninja Turtle guy, Leonardo. That's gotta be what the game's about, right? My knowledge of Assassin's Creed is literally restricted to these 9 magic cards that they've spoiled. That's all I know about it. Why is there like Leonardo da Vinci's in Cleopatra's? Why are there these real world characters? Is it worth playing? You're a person in the near future who uses a machine to inhibit the minds of their ancestors hundreds of years ago. Okay, that sounds kind of neat. What do you think of having more real world characters, or actually, is it more real world characters? I guess Legends had real world characters, but what do you think of like Cleopatra, Leonardo da Vinci being on magic cards? Universes Beyond is something. Honestly, yeah, that's kind of where I landed. I would rather have Cleopatra in like historical figures than Doctor Who. Doctor Who will still always be my least favorite, I think. Just the like current actor that I don't care about eating a sandwich. That was my least favorite by far. Well, we're gonna try to do something here, and by something I mean we're gonna cast a Solitude. Please don't counter it. Opponent's gonna crack the bobble. We really just need to find a Terminus. Apparently that will never happen, but it would be pretty helpful. All right, there goes the Solitude. We're down to 10. Opponent gets to draw another card. Come on. Stern Scolding. So if we brainstorm, we get wrecked. So I guess, okay, let's oust the Orcish Bowmaster. Play a Jace. This feels so bad. Brainstorm with Jace. Oh, no Terminuses. Well, put back Kahira. Put back Counterbalance. Archive. Mill the Counterbalance. Go. Well, we know we're not drawing it next turn. I mean, Arabian Nights really is the first Universes Beyond, right? In a lot of ways, it really is. Did you see the new OTJ key art posted by Watsy Twitter earlier today? If it's new from today, I don't think so. Do you have a link to it? I saw some of the art they posted over the weekend, but... So we know there's a Bowmaster. We're drawing the Kahira. We can try to counter the Bowmaster. So let's... we really need this to work. Crack the Brainstone. Okay. That's not bad. So put back the Solitude. And the Terminus. Pass the turn. Okay, this could work. Now we have a Terminus on top that we can cast with the Omen of the Sea. Opponent's playing around it. They're trying to. Opponent combat. Gets in. We will take it down to 5. Well, we have the Terminus now. We know that much. So we draw the Terminus. We miracle the Terminus. Get rid of the dorks, hopefully. Oh. Opponent drowned in the lock. Just when things were looking kind of good. Well, let's cast a Solitude. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh man, maybe this deck is horrible. We might have just stumbled on the worst deck of all time. Key art from Outlaws at Thunder Junction. All right. So we got some. I mean, out of the new. Who is this? This looks the most like Jaya, but isn't Jaya dead? Do we have other older women characters in Magic? So we have Oko, we have Kellen, we have Tiny Bones. Cool to see Tiny Bones back. We have Vraska. We have who's in the back? Rakdos? And then who is the woman character? Oh, it's a new character. Oh, Annie Flash. Oh, like a Annie Oakley type thing. That makes sense. I can see that. I mean, I think Outlaws of Thunder Junction is going to be pretty sweet. I'm actually pretty hyped for this set. Like, yes, it's got the goofy hat theme, which seems to be 2024 Magic. Here's the characters you love, but with a goofy hat. I think we've only seen a handful of cards so far, and we knew this was going to happen, right? Like, Hell to Pay is very much like, we're in the meme era of Magic card design. I think the last, like, 3 years or so, I kind of consider the meme era, where WotC's like, we're going to do a top-down set design. We're going to do the Old West. Let's Google every random phrase associated with the Old West, and we'll make a card out of it. So Hell to Pay, the town ain't big enough for the both of us. Like, it's going to be a ton of stuff like that. I love Flibblethip. I mean, Flibblethip's one of my favorite characters. So I'm excited to see a new Flibblethip that might actually be good. We'll see what plotting is. They haven't announced it yet. Tiny Bones, I think, is like legit strong. Like 1 mana 1/1 death touches usually punch up, and this is one that in the late game you get in some hits and you can start casting your opponent's spells, and the flavor is kind of good, right? You're like actually picking your opponent's pocket. You hit him with the Tiny Bones and it steals the card from the graveyard. You can cast it. Oko, I don't know if Oko. What incarnation? Yeah, that'll probably be a card too. I don't know if Oko's that good. Maybe. I think it really depends on the static ability. I'm not sure how good the static is because everything's legendary. So I think a lot of times the creature you're going to want to copy is going to be a legend. The -5 is sweet, for sure. And you can get there pretty quick, right? 2 upticks, and then you can -5 and get a bunch of copies of things. And then, of course, you got to be able to make some elks. But I don't even think you got to be a mill deck. Like, I think that enough stuff will just naturally end up in the graveyard that I think that Tiny Bones is just a pretty good card. It kind of depends. Richard mentioned this on the podcast that it depends on what removals in the format. Like if there's something like Bowmasters or Red and 6 is going to be worse, which is true. Like if it's getting sniped by something, it won't be good. But otherwise, I think it's pretty good. Isn't Vraska still a Phyrexian? I mean, that is Vraska, right? It's got to be Vraska. Good day, Ario. How are you? Good to see you. I was really hoping to run into you in Chicago, but our paths never crossed. Hope you have a great time. Oh, I'm sorry, Anklesaurus. Yeah, Chicago was super fun. How was it for you? Any chance you play a Decon deck at some point? I've never actually built a Decon deck, but there's definitely a chance. Decon's an interesting card, so I don't have one built and ready to go or anything, but I will add it to the list of possibilities. I mean, if there's one thing we learned about Magic lore from the Phyrexian invasion, it's not even just the Phyrexian invasion. But I think if there's one thing we've learned about Magic lore over the last few years, it's don't take it too seriously. just because last time we saw Veraska, she was a Phyrexian, or last time we saw Elspeth, she was literally dead, doesn't mean they won't be the face of the next set. It's kind of like a sitcom. It's kind of like a sitcom, right? Where at the end of the episode, everything goes back to normal, no matter how how wild things were during the episode. It's just like normal the next week. That's kind of magic lore. Like, you're dead last week, but you're back now. I mean, it is magic after all, right? That's a fair point. Yeah, let's just Thundering Falls. Surveil away a polluted delta. Go. Yeah, that's the one they never bring back. my favorite of Planeswalkers, but yeah, Venser appears to be legitimately dead. Ooh, all right, we're doing it. I mean, this is what it's been all about. We're gonna run out this counterbalance. We're gonna pass the turn. Can we get some blind flips? Oh, I do love having counterbalance on the battlefield. All right, opponent, would you like to cast a spell? Will it? Oh, it's a Valakut deck. We don't even have answers to that, do we? That's awkward. Opponent. So they can't Urza Saga. They're going to cast an Amulet. Can we get a one on top? Can we get a one on top? Can we get a one on top? No, it's a Scalding Tarn. That's unfortunate. All right, that's not great. So our opponent's going to have double Amulet. Oh, what do we even do now? So, Empty Goldfish, what do you think about you and other Magic content creators being turned into Magic cards for the Unknown event? I had no idea that was happening. I don't think, I don't know if anyone else did, but I didn't know that was a thing until people started pinging me about it. I thought it was super cool. I got my card. Thank you to the person on the last day of Chicago. Someone apparently opened the card in the Unknown event. Let me see if I can grab it. Hang on. I will show it to you. But someone grabbed it during the event. Someone grabbed it during the event and came up to me on the last day and said, "Yeah, I really want you to have this. I think this probably means more to you than it does to me. You know, I'm a big fan." So I actually got a copy, and now I got to build a commander deck around it. But yeah, I mean, I think Gavin kind of nailed it. It's a Panharmonicon with fishes. Chicago was super fun. How do we avoid dying to? Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Now that we do Paper Commander Clash, I think they'd let me break out. So the card is the Fish Brewer. It's a 5-mana 4/4 human wizard. It says, when the Fish Brewer enters the battlefield or attacks, create a 1/1 fish creature token that's all colors. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes the triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, tap any number of fish you control. That ability triggers an additional time for each fish tapped this way. So it's like a super Panharmonicon. That also could be your commander and requires you to have a bunch of fish on the battlefield. So yeah, it's actually obviously not tournament legal. It's one of the like unknown event cards, but definitely super, super cool. Yeah. The closest thing I have to an invitational card now, I guess. What do we do this turn? So we can play Teferi and bounce the Amulet, but then they get another one and probably win. I mean, I guess in Counterbalance we trust. We pass the turn. Yeah, I think that was like the theme. You're the fishbowl. You were all the fish tokens. Yeah, I think there was one, the Crimson Avenger or something like that. But yeah, I think that was the theme, was content creators, which it was cool. Yeah, it was a cool surprise for sure. I don't think it's like too overpowered. I think I could get away with building a commander deck and people actually letting me play it, even though it's not a real card. So opponent, more amulets. Well, let's All right, let's do it this way. Let's Scalding Tarn. Crack it. Get an Archive. Surveil. All right, we'll keep a counter spell. So let's opt, draw the counter spell. And yeah, let's just untap. Play the Flooded Strad past the turn. I mean, if we can keep the Primeval Titan from coming down, it's not too bad. I think Dan is a fish now, I'm pretty sure. So, did any of you go to Chicago? Opponent. Getting in with the Construct. Cardbot still cutting off the text. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to have to try to figure that out. Oh, another Saga. Our opponent's going to have a lot of amulets. Dryad of the Ilson Grove. We don't have any 3s in our deck. Well, let's crack the Flooded Strand. Get us... So our 3 is Teferi or Entreat the Angel we need to find? Well, our... Hey! Put it on top. Put it on top. Put it on top. Out of here, Dryad. Counterbalance paying off. Okay. Now we're going to opt to get rid of the Teferi that we don't actually want. Draw Solitude. Play a Skull. Play an Island. And Teferi. And bounce the Construct past the turn. We're kind of getting this locked up. I did not think we were going to be able to counter a 3. 3, we just don't have that many 3-drops in our deck, so we got kind of lucky to be able to counter a 3-drop. All right, untap. Now we got the Brainstone, which makes it even better when another counter spell. All right, take it up. Oh, we're doing it. I think we might be doing it. Play the land. Play the Brainstone. I mean, they get to make Urza Saga tokens, but as long as we're not dying to Primeval Titan, it's worth it. Yeah, that's why the deck's kind of possible now, is Surveil lands giving us a way to sort of use our lands to control Counterbalance. Now we do need a Terminus. All right, opponent makes a dork, gets an amulet. Or gets an expedition map. Goes to combat. Are we going to die? If we cast the Solitude, or what are the odds that we die? I kind of like having it to Teferi. Oh, yeah, I guess we let it go. Actually, you know what? Okay, let's do this. Let's crack the Scalding Tarn. To get a meticulous... We could put a Terminus on top. So, Polluted Delta to the graveyard. Actually, do we put it... Yeah, all right, to the graveyard. And then... Crack the Brainstone. Ooh, not great. So... Put back Counterspell, put back Terminus. I mean, this is still fine. We still get to Terminus away the tokens and leave up a bunch of counters. Yeah, we're trying to counterbalance. We're playing Miracles. The acceptable kind of control. No Sunfalls. No Sunfalls here. Only Terminuses. Our Ras cost 1 mana. I'm of the opinion that Noxus Revival could work in the deck. Noxus, I could see playing a copy or two. Do we play another? You know what? Let's play another Counterbalance. Play another Counterbalance. Another Flooded. Now we get 2 shots at it. We can like reveal, fetch, reveal. I got another deck idea to send your way. I'll send it after work. Hey, awesome. Just another Dave. I'd love to see it. I was in Chicago, traded a few things for an Agnes McKinsey, got it signed by Brian Wackwitz, got Crim to sign my Goldfish playmat, but never saw you. Oh, I'm sorry, Greater Vanda. Yeah, I saw it. Oh, I got to sign so much stuff and see so many people. It was a very fun weekend. Hey, how was Chicago for you, Carmichael? Opponent. Finds her bounce land. Gonna do bounce landy things. I mean, they don't have a cavern, right? So we can just counterspell a Primeval Titan. Abriel Grazer. On top we have a counters. Oh, duh. We knew that. Let's get a meticulous archive. Put the land to the graveyard. And Omen of the Sea. Okay. Well, opponent gets to put the bounce land back into play. What Planeswalker beside Venser would you like to see get a Flipwalker card? Another Planeswalker I really like is Tezzeret. I'd like to see a Tezzeret Flipwalker. I need to know the... Oh, the Han stuff was super cool. Thank you, MGA. Yeah, that was a super awesome gift. Really? Wow, I think we might be in trouble here. Our opponent's going to generate so much mana that I think they just overload our counterspell and play multiple Titans, and then we lose. That's very awkward. Getting the Surveil land might have been wrong. Trying to get the Surveil land to counter the Grazer, it might have been better just to get an untap land to leave up the second counterspell. Didn't really think our opponent was going to just have a handful of Abriel Grazers they had been slow rolling. Nope. And, I mean, we'll see. I am not feeling confident. Not feeling confident at all. 1-2, counterspell it. Well, that worked for now. Maybe. Summoner's Pact. No, we can't do that. We know there's a 2 on top, so opponent gets the Summoner's Pact. They're one... Do they have another Grazer? Do they just have all the Grazers? They get an Azusa. Oh, jeez. Maybe counterspells... Maybe Counterbalance is just bad. It just sits out and does... It countered a single thing that we didn't even really... I mean, the Dryad was big, but, like, it's just doing nothing. We have 2 counterbalances, and our opponent's just comboing off through them. Yeah, I mean, we can Solitude the Titan, but our opponent gets multiple lands out of it, and the lands get more Titans, so it's still pretty bad. Like, yeah, it means we don't die right this second, but it's still, like, opponent gets more mana, they get lands that tutor up Titan, so it's still incredibly bad to even have it hit the battlefield for a turn. Yeah. Nope. Well, yeah, that's probably game. So there's the Primeval Titan. Yeah, Counterbalance has not been impressive. Why not exile Azusa? We got to deal with the Primeval Titan. Yeah, so Simic Growth Chamber, Teleria West, so that's going to be a second Primeval Titan. So I guess we need... Man. Primeval Titan Amulet's so busted. Yeah. Opponent. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not on the top of our deck. Even with the Surveil lands, it still seems hard to have... It's not like having Brainstorm. It still seems hard to actually... Yeah, they're going to double Primeval Titan here, and then haste up the Primeval Titan. Looks like game to me. Do you have any ideas for, like, anti-meta for Pioneer? These counterbalances are just absolutely mocking us. They are mocking us. About it. Another Summoner's Pact to get another Primeval Titan. Plays another Primeval Titan. Imagine if we had a relevant mana value on the top of our deck. It would be so sweet. Instead, we don't. I don't know how I feel about Modern Horizons 3 potentially adding Solitude to Arena. It's probably fine. I mean, Timeless is so combo-y that I think something like Solitude, if anything, maybe it gives fair decks a chance. So I actually think Solitude would probably be a positive. If they do the whole cycle, that would get a little scary. Like, I don't know if I want to play against Scam and Timeless. All right, so opponent's going to do all that stuff. I mean, we need a miracle, like a literal miracle, so we can Solitude. Pitching or other solitude to answer a primeval Titan, but even that, like, that's so incredibly bad. So bad. I wonder if this deck would be better off playing like Field of Ruin and stuff. It would be nice to have some answers to this. About it gets in with Primeval Titan. Yeah, I mean, Show and Tell definitely needs some hate. Show and Tell, I think, is... I don't know. I haven't been able to play too much Timeless the last few days because I was in Chicago, so maybe something's evolved since then, but last I played Timeless, I felt like Show and Tell was just by far the best deck in the format, not even close. How would you like it if Library of Lang was reprinted in Modern Horizons 3? Would it even see play? All right, let me... So is Library just, if you discard a card, you can put it on the top of your deck? Another Urza Saga. All right, we're gonna F6. I think we're just dead. So Library Lang, you have no max hand size, and if an effect causes you to discard a card, discard it, but you may put it on the top of your library instead of your graveyard. I think it would see very, 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 very fringe play. Just because you can turn her up with Urza Saga. So I guess that would be the use of it, is like, you're a deck that really needs a certain combo piece, and you're afraid about it getting like thought seized. You play Library as a one of that you can get off of Urza's Saga. We have a land that kind of does. What's the name of the land that has the same ability on it? The discard protection effect. But we have a land that does essentially the same thing that doesn't really see play. So I don't think it would actually see play. I would like to see more cards like that reprinted though. Like, it's kind of a cool effect. I like the no max hand size mixed in there. So I think it would be a cool card to have exist in Modern, but I don't think it's going to like change Nephalia's Academy, but I don't think it's going to actually have like a meaningful impact on the format or anything. Roiling Vortex has been fantastic against Show and Rakdos Bird. Yeah, I don't know. When I played against it, maybe it was just the build that I had of Show and Tell, but when I played against Roiling Vortex, I felt like I just beat it every time. I was like, oh, this is a little annoying. I can't just fully go off with Omniscience. But we're at 5. Opponent has infinite mana. They have a Valakut. I mean, we can oust the Primeval Titan. Is that even helpful? We can Teferi bounce. Nah, that doesn't do anything. All right, so Teferi bottom. I guess we keep the oust and oust the Titan. This definitely is going to come down to us hitting a Terminus at some point to have any shot here. I mean, what would you like to see? Yeah, they can pay for their packs, right? Actually, are they short on green? Did they leave themselves green? Did they leave themselves short green mana? I think they left themselves short of green mana. Wait, did they? Wow! They greeted to death! They needed both Primeval Titan triggers to get it. Wow! They went full on greed, getting the lands to haste up the Titan. Okay. Yeah, that I don't know how that worked out. That's got to be a punt, right? That's got to be a punt, our opponent. What do you think of? So speaking of spoiler cards, there's more I need your opinion on, chat. I need to know. So one of the most interesting things about Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and this has me really, really excited for the set, is the Vault bonus sheet. So this is the aftermath for Outlaws at Thunder Junction that they got rid of because Aftermath flopped. So they put 30 mythics on a special sheet in the main set in one of those. So first off, it's really bad for Arena. Like, it's good for me on Arena because I like to brew around a lot of cards. So I'm excited to have 30 extra mythics to build around. But price-wise, oh, good. Oh, it's so bad. 30 extra mythics is going to be really, really bad for people trying to play in Arena. They're just so expensive on Arena. So the cost thing is a little bit awkward. I'm intrigued by Sword of Wealth and Power. What do you think? Apparently we don't have a page for it yet. Irish Rager, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So the idea of Aftermath was to kind of wrap up the story. It was supposed to be like an epilogue set. So here's March of the Machines. We see this huge war and all this. And then Aftermath is going to tell the story that happened after the big war ended. They were going to do the same thing with Outlaws at Thunder Junction. I don't really know exactly what the story is, something to do with a bunch of outlaws, but they were going to have an epilogue style, Aftermath style set, but now it's in the main set. But what do you think of this sword? Like, how good is, I guess we should also, do we have anything we want to sideboard in? I guess Subtlety is probably worth it. I guess we just got to trust that our opponent's gonna kill themselves to their packs. That's our primary game plan. Our main hope is that our opponent just packs out. But what do you think of this sword? So I figured we were done with swords. I thought they were done. They completed the cycle, but it's just like the other ones. 3 to cast, 2 to equip. Pro from instants and sorceries, and +2/+2. When you deal combat damage, you get to make a treasure, and you get to copy your next instant or sorcery cast this turn. Is it a good sword? So the downside is pro instant sorceries. The downside is it's not going to help you get in attacks with your sword, right? So you're not going to be able to use the colors of protection to swing past blockers. It's just not what this sword does. On the other hand, pro instants and sorcery, I think, is one of the strongest removal protections. Like, it just means your spells aren't going to be able to target and kill my thing, which is actually pretty exciting. This treasures are never bad. We see that with the goblin from Fable the Mirror Breaker. Like, yeah, pro artifacts would be awkward. They would have to do, there is an enchantment. It has it's like from a core set. It's like a 5-mana white enchantment. I want to say it's spectral something, but there is an enchantment that's like protection from all colors, and then it specifically just says this effect doesn't remove this enchantment or whatever. So if they wanted to, I guess they could give protection from artifacts and put that kind of clunky wording on it to make it work. But yeah, normally that would be the issue. But I think that sword's pretty sweet. I like the idea of it. I just don't know. I think the treasure's good. We see that with Fable and the Mirror Breaker. Just the ability to make an extra treasure each turn really pressures your opponent. The spell copy might be a little bit more limited. Spectral Ward, that's what it is. Or Spectra Ward. That's, hey, thank you, Tuka Buddy. Opponent doing amulet things. Tapping, untapping, picking it back up. Defense grid. That's not good. All right. So our opponent has come prepared. Actually, you know what? It's fine, because we have Counterbalance. we just gotta trust that the right number's on the top of our deck. We're fine. We're fine. Defense grid does not stop us from revealing Counterbalance cards. Opponent floats a mana, gets another amulet, plays a bounce land. So how about a Terminus on top? Terminus on top to counter this Primeval Titan. One time. Actually, they can't even Primeval Titan. It's gonna be the One Ring. Okay, so we need Jace on top. Jace on top? Come on, Magic Gods. Blind flip. Where's our reveal zone? Flooded Strand. Okay, well, yeah, that's a One Ring. Our hand is a little worse with this defense grid out, no doubt. Opponent gonna draw with the One Ring and passes. Well, play the Flooded Strand, crack the Flooded Strand, grab a island, run out to Fairy. and bounce. Our opponent has 0 lands at the moment. What do we even bounce with this Teferi? Complete random, but I get the vampires as a breakout deck, but isn't it just a Rakdos shell with a way to cheat big effects? So we don't think about that, Dan. No, we don't think that way. It's a wonderful new brew. The problem is if we bounce the defense grid, don't they just replay the defense grid? With 2 amulets, their bounce land makes 6 mana. Yeah, but we can't subtlety the defense grid. We'd bounce the defense grid so we can subtlety. So if they play the bounce land, with nothing else, they have 6 mana. So 2 for defense grid, they have 4 left over. So they need a Grazer and a Zusa to Titan. All right. I mean, I guess that's the best we can do. We hit a Solitude that we can't cast yet. But yes, you are right. It is. So that deck is kind of weird. On one hand, you are very much right. It is very Rakdos mid-rangey with some vampire stuff thrown in. So I could see the argument that it's actually not as spicy as maybe you think at first glance or when you hear the name Rakdos Vampires. I think that's a fair criticism. On the other hand, I mean, it's got Vein Ripper, it's got Sorin. It does have a lot of cards that traditional Rakdos wouldn't play. Even if the game plan is similar, you still got Fable, which is similar. So I think it's still innovative, but it is a fair point that it's not... Oh, do we subtlety this? They didn't defense grid. I mean, I guess. Well, we reveal first, because it could be a 3. Magic odds, it's never a 3. I mean, this is worth subtletying, right? Subtlety the Dryad. Stop it for now. This also means they don't get to get down the defense grid. And it lets us leave up the counterspell next turn. Opponent's discarding the hand size. Okay, things are coming along. Things are coming along. I mean, what did you think of the Rakdos Vampire deck? Did it feel like a spicy new brew, or did it feel like, oh, it's just Rakdos with extra steps? Well, play the land, pass the turn. Actually, I guess we should Omen. Well, let's Omen. See if we can set up the top of our deck. So subtlety is a 4. Well, bottom and also bottom. We find another Omen. Okay. We're doing it ish. Opponent untaps. They're drawing so many cards with this one ring. Hey, what's up, Baller Beanie? How are you? Opponent draws up to 11 cards in hand. Plays their bounce land. Gets a bunch of triggers. Since they only have 1 land on the battlefield, this is going better than it feels like it should be. Opponent, Dry to the Ilsen Grove. Well, we don't know what's on top, so let's reveal. It could be a Teferi. It's a subtlety. I mean, I think it's worth countering. Polluted Delta. Island. Counter it, hopefully. I mean, bouncing that defense grid definitely paid off. That was the right call. And now we trust that our counterbalance can save us as our opponent discards the hand size. They're just drawing so much with this one ring. We draw another Teferi. I'll take up Teferi. Pass the turn. All right, so we need this Omen to be able to save us with the counterbalance. Opponent untaps, draws infinite cards. Richard is the owner of Goldfish. I'm the content manager of Goldfish. But yeah, Richard is the one who founded the site. Opponent, Civic Growth Chamber. We've seen this before. This is the test of Counterbalance. If Counterbalance gets us through this turn, we're actually not in the worst of shape. Amulet. Okay. Well, let's reveal. Ooh, all right, so we have an Entreat on top. Defense grid. Well, we will Omen of the Sea. Bottom. No, that's awkward. All right, two on top. Howlet Fountain. It never does what we want. Okay, opponent, defense grid. And then Grazer. Yep. Well, I think that's GG. We'll wait and see. Last time our opponent punted it away, so maybe they'll punt it away, but I'm pretty sure. So now with triple amulets, they get the Primeval Titan. Yeah, opponent's going to have a turn. Well, let's talk about spoilers. So what do you think about adding restrictions like in Vintage to Modern? It could help with new deck diversity, and maybe it could give Wizards more courage to unban more cards. So doing a restricted list where you can only play one copy of a card. I kind of like it. I don't think they'll do it. It seems like WotC's take on that has been it's too confusing, which I think is, I mean, that is a concern, but it's Modern, right? We've seen it in Vintage, and Vintage is admittedly a much smaller format with a very hardcore super enfranchised, oh god, oh boy, that's really bad. With a very hardcore super enfranchised player base. It died. It died. They played Cultivator classes with 0 lands. Not that it matters, because they make an absurd amount of mana off of this. Yeah. But after playing this match, I would totally love to see something like Amulet or Primeval Titan restricted. I think the other downside of it, yeah, we see it in Timeless, and it's worked well in Timeless. Although, so the other issue is just the play pattern just encourages much more tutoring. So, sure, you only can play one Amulet, which would power down this deck. Not being able to stack up multiples would power it down. But then you're like, okay, play more Urza Sagas, more ways that I can find it. So I think that's also, Vintage very much often revolves around, tutoring up your restricted cards. Yeah, I only get one Time Walk, but I'm just going to tutor it up anyway. But I still think it could be worth considering. All right, so opponent there. Let the opponent go off for sure. Do we really? Well, we can talk about spoilers. Let's talk about another spoiler as we wait. So chat, what do you think about Assassin's Creed? So Assassin's Creed going to be Modern legal. Also, of course, Commander legal, Legacy, all that stuff. I feel like this card's kind of neat. Ezio? Let's go with Ezio. I'm probably saying that all wrong. I think this card's interesting. 2 mana, 2/3. Assassins have free running, so you can cast them for 2 black mana if you dealt combat damage to a player with an assassin or commander this turn. Ezio. How do you get a T? How do you put a T in there? There is definitely no T in those letters, but okay, Ezio. Do you think this card is good? I bet this will be a very popular commander. It cheats on mana with the free running ability in an assassin deck. It has an alt win con on top of it. And it's only 2 mana, which, boy, opponent has 30 mana floating. And we have to click OK because of the counterbalance. That's even more awkward. Even though it's not ever going to do anything. I feel like it's going to be a really popular commander, although it's a killer set. I don't know about Modern. My initial take, just seeing the spoilers so far, I think we can do an against the odds with this in Modern. People do get down under 10 life in Modern, so I think you'll get a kill with it at some point. But it certainly doesn't seem like a true Modern playable. I don't think it's the new, Bowmasters or something. Leonardo da Vinci, like, maybe pay 5 to turn all your Thopters into, like, massive creatures. Maybe this could do something in some sort of, like, SRAM cheap artifact Emery style deck. But even then, 5 mana is kind of a lot. But maybe there's, like, a chance, some sort of Urza style deck. Sorry, opponent. Yep. Yes, play your Dryad. Double Valakids. Plays. Okay, I think we're officially dead. We want a little bit of time for game 3 anyway. We still have another game in this match. All right, so life is harder when our opponent doesn't kill themselves to their packs. That's for sure. I mean, I guess we need Wear Tears. Wear Tears get Amulets, they get Urza Sagas, and they get Dryads. That's probably good enough. The Ousts don't seem that good. Although they are a 1, which I guess 1 is probably the least important number for Counterbalance. And then, defense grid. Defense grid's kind of brutal. This also blows up the defense grid. We got to cut one more of something. We haven't talked about Psychic Frog yet. Psychic Frog, I think, is pretty powerful. I think so. Psychic Frog, that's one of the Modern Horizons 3 card. 2 mana 1/2. It's a name, I think, is obviously a pun on Psychotog, Psychic Frog. So I think it's supposed to be a callback in pun on Psychotog, one of the most infamous creatures from the early 2000s. Like, at one point, considered to be among the strongest creatures in the entire game. What else do we cut? Do we cut the Intrigue? We got to cut one more card. These counterbalances have disappointed me, but that was the whole reason we're playing the deck, so I don't think we're going to cut them. Can we win without Entreat? Do we need the Entreat? So Entreat's a 3. We got a bunch of 4s. Solitude. I guess we could go down a counterbalance. Or maybe like 1 Omen. Let's go 1 Omen. Let's try it like that. So Psychic Frog. 2 mana, 2/1. When it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. Discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then you can exile 3 cards from your graveyard to give it flying until end of turn. So if you think about this by itself, you slam this on turn 2, discard your hand, and you have like a I don't even know, a really big creature, like a 7/8 or something, and then you can send it to the air for the next 3 turns. That's kind of wild, right? This is like the new Tarmogoyf or something. Like, it can get really, really big for a 2-drop, and then its ability is going to refill your hand after you discard all those cards. So obviously, if you have like synergies for it, that's where it's really going to shine. That's what we saw with Psychotog back in the day. So I think it's going to be a card for decks with synergies for it, where you're able to like maybe madness something like Emrakul. Maybe that's the combo. You Psychic Frog, discard the Emrakul. I don't know how you cast Psychic Frog and have 6 colorless, but otherwise, that kind of synergy. But I think Psychic Frog's really strong. Like, 2 mana 1/2, it grows itself, it goes to the air, it draws you cards. It seems like it's built to be a modern staple, essentially. What about the new free spells? I mean, we gotta keep this. Ooh, also we got 5 minutes on our clock. All right, we gotta buckle down. We gotta buckle down. We'll come back to the cards after this game. We gotta buckle down and see if we can pull this off before the clock runs out. So 1 land, 1 keep, but I think this is a good 1 land, 1 keep. We have an opt, and we got a bunch of Surveil lands. Opponent, Radiant Fountain. Amulet. All right. Be good, Surveil land. Be good. So Thundering Falls. Surveil into a land? No. Terminus to the graveyard. So we need a land so we can blow up the Amulet so we cannot die. That would be pretty good. Land. Counterspell. Okay. Opt. This is not ideal. Brainstone's not a land. Wow. Wow. That's not good. Deck. Oh, we had a lot of shots to see it too. Now we're probably dead. Hey, what's up? What's up, Jar Jar? Welcome. My favorite Star Trek character, opponent, right at the Ilson Grove. I heard a rumor at Chicago. I don't know if anyone else heard this, and this is Like, this is just people talking. This is not from wizards, anyone with any sort of authority. This is just like people talking, rumors. I heard a rumor that there's going to be potentially Star Trek Secret Lair. Or not Secret Lair, Star Trek Universes Beyond is like a premiere set. Where would... So I was thinking Star Wars would be like one of the biggest IPs they could get, but the rumor just swirling around, and this, I assume if it did happen, which again, this is just straight up rumor mill. Nothing real behind it, just people talking. It would have to be like 2025, 2026, like in the distant future. How hyped would that be? Yeah, my head is falling off, isn't it? There we go. Star Trek has a massive depth to pull from. Would it be as good as Star Wars? Like, if you had to pick one of those two, which one do you pick? Do you go Star Wars or do you go Star Trek? Yeah, I mean, we're too far behind. I would keep this hand again. I know One Land, One Keep we make fun of, but with a Surveil land and an opt and an answer to Amulet, and a counterspell for the Primeval Titan after we answer the Amulet, I think this is a one-lander that was worth keeping. I think it's worth it. I think I would do it again. I think we just kind of like low-rolled a little bit, that we had a lot of looks to find the land with the opt and the Surveil land, and we just didn't do it. I mean, we're obviously going to lose because of it. Well, there's the land, but it's incredibly too late to actually matter now. Now they have the defense grid, so we can't counter anything. We can like blow up the Dryad, but that doesn't really... I think we're just dead. We can't even interact because of the defense grid. Yeah, all right, sure. Star Wars feels more fantasy-ish. I prefer Star Trek as a whole, but in the context of a Magic side up for Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, I know... Ooh, StarCraft. I know Star Wars better than Star Trek. I've never really watched Star Trek, but I do know Star Wars. I think Star Wars is a better fit than X-Men and Magic, but Star Trek is deeper and more interesting universe. Star Wars used to be the #1 TCG. Yeah, it's actually... Wait, Star Wars or Star Trek? Was Star Wars the TCG back in the 90s? I remember looking through old like Scry magazines, and I was just looking through the price guides, and you see Magic card prices, and I wanted to say it was Star Trek, but maybe it was Star Wars that was like worth as much as Magic. Like the iconic like whatever Dr. Spock or whatever, it was like the Black Lotus of their game, and like cost the same as a Magic Black Lotus. And then apparently the game just like straight up died, right? So now Black Lotus, definitely in the long run, Black Lotus won. But at the time, there was actual real competition between Dr. Spock and Black Lotus. Do any of you still have your cards? It was really complicated. Yeah. I mean, Magic's pretty complicated too. Even complicated compared to Magic. That's probably rough. I think I already have an issue, and I already have a concern with Magic of like, for the future of like, are people going to want to pick up this game in the future? Is it like, when I think of like younger people I know, like people in their teens now, I'm not sure how many of them are going to like, I don't know. Do you think that people that grew up on YouTube Shorts and TikTok and just like very fast-paced stuff, do you think we'll be able to get those people into the game? I'm actually thinking about this because this was something Mark Rosewater mentioned during our panel, because it was about the history of Magic content, and it went through the current era, and then we like at the end the discussion was like, where does it go from here? And I think we're in the TikTok era, right? That's like where we are now is the short form content TikTok era. And that's like the thing of the upcoming generation. And I'm not sure. And Mark actually said I think they're going to upload the panel onto YouTube at some point. But that's one of the things he said is like, the generation that's growing up now, it's really a challenge for us to figure out how to reach them, because of like their gaming habits and how they interact with this is just very different than previous generations. And I thought that was a really interesting, good point. I remember I tried to get my niece. She's a senior in high school. Senior next year? Senior. I think a senior next year. But I tried to get her. I was going to teach her how to play Magic, and she didn't want to do it anyway. But I talked her into it, and then I like started to go over the rules, and she was just like, "No, it's too much. It's too much. I'm not even gonna try." It's like, and I don't know if that's an uncommon response. That's also true. There are a lot of text on the cards. But yeah, Magic is a very complicated game, right? It's a complicated game, and it's getting more complicated, and people's attention spans are maybe getting shorter. Oh no, I don't think that. No, I think that kids are very smart. I wasn't meaning anything about smartness. It's more just like generational differences in like how we interact with games and how we interact with media. Like that's the difference. Oh, I have 100% confidence that someone who's a teenager now or whatever, if they wanted and were interested in learning Magic, oh, they totally could. No doubt about it. It's not at all a like, oh, they're not smart enough thing. Nothing like that at all. It's more like, are they going to be interested in it? When you're used to TikTok and YouTube shorts and really fast paced, like that type of stuff, I think it's a little trickier to be like, hey, let's sit down and like learn Magic for a few hours. And once you learn it, we'll play a Commander game for like 3 hours. That might be a tough sell. Do we keep the Teferi? Let's put Teferi to the bottom. Dimitri the Elf, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big soup cheer for you. Thank you. What do we do? Flooded Strand. Basic Swampy. Thanks for the great content. Been helping me through some tough times. Well, Dimitri, I hope the times are looking better for sure. I mean, that's very true, right? I'm definitely one of the people whose brain is endlessly interested in Magic. It's very fascinating. But then I definitely know people who, when you start talking Magic, I think it just sounds like gibberish to them. Like it's that it does not connect with their brain in the same way it connects with mine. But then there's other things that, it's the opposite, that their brain connects to that my brain is just like, what? No, I don't get it. Do we want a meticulous archive? I mean, I guess. This does get us to this Jace. This Jace on an empty board would be kind of amazing. Well, let's just play the archive. Play the archive past the Surveil and pass the turn. Ooh. Terminus. You know what? We're going to keep the Terminus. There's some chance we actually cast the Terminus if our opponent runs out of creature. I watch my 9-year-old son play Fortnite for hours, so I think the younger generation can pay attention when they're sufficiently engaged. Definitely for sure, but like, do you think Magic is engaging enough? Like, you got the barrier of like having to learn all the rules. I've played Fortnite. Fortnite's kind of like somewhat intuitive. I think compared to like being really good at Fortnite, I think is obviously difficult. I'm not any good at Fortnite, but I think it's something where you can like pick it up and play it and like enjoy it. Cause like I point my gun at things and shoot is like relatively easy and quick to pick up. Magic just has such a barrier to learn. Like learning Magic is tough. And I don't know how to get over that barrier. I think Arena might be our best bet right now, right? Like I think Arena, if you're trying to get a brand new person into Magic, I think Arena tutorial might be the best option. Opponent has a Watery Grave. All right. Well, in that case, I guess we Brainstone and pass the turn. Yeah, I wonder if like a core set or like, remember the portal sets? I wonder if we need like a simplified, I mean, I guess they kind of do that to some extent, right? They do to those like brand new player, like kind of watered down, free your LGS intro decks. Oh, is this a scam deck? Are they scamming us? Do we try to counter this? They do have blue mana. If we try to counter this and they counter back and then scam, we have nothing going on. The other option is to Brainstone to just try to hide some stuff. I mean, so the pricing structure of Arena is really bad if you want all the cards right away. But for someone who's just learning Magic, it's kind of free. Like, if you're a brand new player, you don't need all the cards right away. You wouldn't even really be able to make use of all the cards right away because you're just, trying to learn how to build your first decks and like how the game works. So I think for those people, the Arena economy is probably pretty fine. Like, I don't know, when I taught my little nephew to play an Arena for like a solid like 3 or 4 months, he was pretty happy playing with the new player cards. He eventually did get to the point after like 3 or 4 months where he wanted different things to play with and couldn't get them easily, and it became an issue. But yeah, I think we're just gonna brainstorm. But it definitely lasted him a good few months with just like the new player experience cards, where he had a blast. Are we getting stifled? Oh God. All right, this is gonna hurt a bit. I mean, we are gonna be able to put a Terminus back on top of our deck. There's an Entreat the Angels. So put back Terminus. Put back Terminus. Actually, no. Put back Entreat. Put back Terminus. This deck seems a little weak to Bowmaster. Well, I mean, we do get to try to Terminus. See if we get scammed. Well, I think I might have to cross Miracles off my list of potential Super League decks. Oh yeah, if you missed it earlier, next week, Super Leagues are back. We're doing another Super League. So the stream next week is going to be on Wednesday for our first week of Super Leaguing. Wait, oh, they weren't even scamming. all that, and they weren't actually even scamming. They were just firing off of fair grief. Oh, we did all that for nothing. All that was completely unnecessary. It's modern. It's a modern Super League. So we gotta find a fun modern deck to play. So yeah, that's it. That starts at 4 Eastern on Wednesday. It'll be on like the Moto channel and a bunch of other channels, but it will be on the Goldfish channel too. So you can just you can come right here and watch it on Wednesday. Seth, as Venser's #1 fan, I have an extremely important question for you. If Venser traveled to Bloomborough, what animal would he turn into? Ooh. What animal? So we've seen a couple Bloomborough animals so far. You know what? We're going to play a Jace. We haven't got many chances to play a Jace. We're going to do it. The time has come. The time has come. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Better than all. Brainstorm. My opponent can't Bowmaster at all. Put back. Put back a land and a counter spell. Pass the turn. What would Venser be? I imagine like, Venser's pretty smart, right? But it wouldn't be like, not an owl. We already have Fox Jace. So we have Fox Jace. We have Otter Row. What about a pigeon? My first thought was owl, but I'm trying to envision, a magpie. Okay, I kind of like, a possum. A possum's kind of neat. He was actually just playing dead the whole time. What is a honey badger? I've heard of honey badgers, but I'm not sure what exactly they are. Is it just a type of badger? Well, let's start taking up this Jace. We can't really brainstorm into the Bowmaster. Manamo. Look at the card. I think do they want lands? I think they do. We're going to put it to the bottom. Put it to the bottom. Play the Flooded Strand. Pass the turn. Oh, honey badgers are an actual thing. I didn't realize that was a thing. What is your MagicCon Chicago commentary? The Magic historian did a video on it, said it was a disaster, but he says everything is a disaster. So I've seen So I was at MagicCon Chicago all 3 days, and I would say that the complaints are valid but overblown. Like, so my experience, and I guess my experience is a little bit of a unique one, maybe, is like a content creator where I spend most of the event, meeting people and, signing stuff and taking pictures. So my experience, maybe it's a little bit different than some other people's experiences. Ooh, we have another solitude. Okay, so in this case, I think we just cast the solitude. See if our opponent has a counter. They do. But now we have another solitude. So we can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can cast the solitude. Snipe the Bowmaster. So we can brainstorm with Jace to find a land. Just kidding. So we can brainstorm with Jace to not find a land. That's a slight bit awkward. Well, put back Counterspell Solitude. Pass the turn. Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to leave up that Counterspell. So my experience in Chicago was the event was really fun. There was just a little bit of logistical issues with having enough space for everyone. Yeah, finding land would have been nice. The biggest issue I ran into is they did legitimately just run out of stuff. They ran out of tables for people to play at. I heard about them running out of like sealed product for events where people like wanted to do a draft and they were like, we don't have any more sealed product. We used all of it, so you couldn't even do it. So there were issues with that. So that was a legitimate complaint, and I think that is an issue. I don't know why it was an issue, because this was like the biggest convention center in the United States or something. Like, this was a huge building. Like, walking there in the morning from the hotel, once you got into the convention center, it was like a 15-minute walk or something across sky bridges and all this stuff to get to where the actual Magic stuff was. So there was like a ridiculous amount of space. There just wasn't enough tables and not enough product for everything. So that complaint was legitimate, but I think that's fixable. So yeah, that was definitely an issue. The price thing, to me, it was just normal con stuff. I saw people complaining about prices, but if I go to a con or a concert, I expect they did have a dental convention going on in the same building, which was kind of a funny mix. There was, you never know at Magic Cons. I think at Philadelphia, it was like a cheerleading competition. So yeah, this time it was a dentist convention going on alongside the event. Sky bridges, actually, like sky bridges, I guess. They like all the hotels near the convention center are connected to the event center by like these, they call them sky bridges, but essentially bridges that are like going over the highways and the roadways, so you don't have to walk in the street. So you can go right from your hotels through like a pathway of these bridges to get to the convention center, which was kind of neat. If only it could have been a deodorant convention. I mean, that's probably true of any Magic convention, I guess. Yeah. Cheerleading was funny. The mom's telling her daughters. It was a funny mix, right? It was definitely a funny mix. You had all these like families with little cheerleaders, and then just, the Magic community. I mean, I thought it was hilarious. A dentist convention's a pretty funny mix too, right? You never know. But so overall, I would say, I think the complaints were, if you listen to the biggest complaints on the internet, I think they're overblown. I think they represent a bad experience that someone had that is completely legitimate, but I don't think that would be the experience of most people at the con. Most people that I've heard at the con, they had a good time at the con. Got to do most of what they wanted, but sometimes you had to play Magic on the floor or had an event that got canceled. So I think overall I would say it was a good but not great con. The community was great. The planning and logistics of the con, kind of mid-tier when it could have been better in some regards. But overall, for having like 14, 15,000 people, I think it went fairly smoothly. Yeah, I feel like they... Yeah, I mean, Jace bounce Solitude, pitch Solitude. That's probably our best bet. So play the Jace. Bounce the Solitude. Yeah, let's just pass. We could run out the Counterbalance. I'd rather wait and leave up the counter spell, I think. I feel like we're getting close to locking this one down. About it. Opponent. Yeah, I'd never been to Chicago before. The city seemed all right. I kind of liked it. At least the convention center aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, they had a like 500 person standard event. They had a pro tour there. They had 14,000 people all together. It was so big and so many people wanted to play. It was literally, I heard that. So they set up the convention and it was overcrowded. So they set up more tables in like additional rooms downstairs and these side rooms and had to have like the fire marshal come back in and re-inspect it to be able to like let more people play there. So it's for how many people they were, I think it went pretty well. Dandy Floss. I wonder how much it costs to rent out that convention center. I bet it is extremely expensive. It has to be extremely expensive. It was a pretty nice center. Welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super chat for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank ya. Well, let's just pass. Pass and do some solituding. I feel like we're not making any, like, huge amount of progress here. But we're also not dying, so I guess that's the upside. We're trying to counterbalance people. So far, it hasn't been all that successful. Do we just counter this? Yeah, I think we're going to. Yeah, let's do it. Counter you. This isn't like... I play a lot of mean decks, Dandy. I guess this one's more controlling than most decks I play, but... I do like my prison decks. Abundant. Down to 13. Bowmaster. Bowmaster is so obnoxious. Wouldn't mind hitting a land. All right. Well, okay. The time has come. We're going to play the Counterbalance. This feels like the kind of card that people counter, even if they shouldn't, because we've been playing this all league, and it hits like 1 out of every 10 spells or something. It's like you have a 10% chance to counter your opponent's spell, but it looks scary, right? It looks like a card that you need to counter, even though I'm not sure it actually is. I heard they set up round tables for people to play on. Yeah, the extra tables were round tables. They were not great for playing Commander games. You need like a pair of binoculars to see your opponent's board. A microphone, a megaphone, some kind of phone. Found it. Leaving back they know about the Solitudes or suspect the Solitudes. Sure, we will take it. Down to 11. Oh, no fear? No fear of the Counterbalance? All right, opponent. 2 on top, 2 on top, 2 on top. Oh, 1 on top. All right, so we spun into an opt. Opponent gets a Voidwalker. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's cast a Solitude. Snipe the Voidwalker. Oh, all right. Tishana's Tidebinder. Well, that's not the most ideal. A Terminus would actually be super sweet. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Solitude. Snipe the Orcish Bowmaster. Pass the turn. I mean, opponent's down to 2 cards. We got the Counterbalance. We got a Counterspell. We should be able to pull this off. Great meeting you, MagicCon. Thanks again for the chat and the pictures. Hey, great to meet you, Crack Inside Me. Hopefully had a super fun weekend. All right, 1 on top. Opponent preordains. Top card is... All right, Omen of the Sea. So we have a 2 on top. It's Commander 2024 anyway. You wouldn't know your opponent's cards even if you could see them. Oh, yeah, that's, I mean, I guess that's kind of true. Does that matter? I feel like, I like that there's so many cool... Well, let's... Alright, sure. Thoughtseize away. We will not reveal the Omen of the Sea. Opponent can take the Counterspell. As long as they don't have another... Okay, they take the Counterspell. As long as they don't have another Bowmaster, this is kind of okay. They can hit us for 3, but we have a lifelinker that can gain 3, so we're kind of doing okay. What are the cards currently exiled with a Voidwalker? I don't think there are any of no. Well, I guess they actually have the Counterspell that they just took in a Flooded Strand. So, outside of the Counterspell that they just got, not many. Opponent passes. Alright, so we get the Omen of the Sea. Well, go to combat. Get in with the Solitude. Hit ya. Opponent's going to trade. Sure. So now they have a Solitude that they can play. Yeah, let's just pass. We knew everything on our opponent's turn. They need to reprint Extortionist so I could buy one. I still kind of hope that they just ban Extortionist, honestly. Have you considered revisiting New Perspective Cycling Storm since all the new cyclers were printed? I hadn't really thought about that, but we probably should actually. Oh. Don't mind if I do. Yes. I would like to reveal a Terminus. I mean, our opponent can't sack the Voidwalker to counter it, but that's kind of fine. We still get rid of the Voidwalker and get rid of the Counterspell under the Voidwalker. Terminus? Out of here? Out of here, dorks? I mean, we will win the long game against this deck. Eventually, we will entreat the Angels for 1 billion. I mean, you gotta counter it, right? Yeah. So opponent's gonna sack to counter. Sure. I don't think we're gonna Omen. We're just gonna blind. We're just going to blind Counterbalance. There's going to be a 2 on top. Yeah, I like the idea of revisiting New Perspectives. We'll have to do that. How have you been, Dandy Floss, by the way? So I will say, I saw that. Okay, so to be fair, having more and more Wilder cards are definitely more like Garfield intended. He hoped people wouldn't know every card and would find new cards from playing with people, anti being a way to get new cards found. I will say, so I saw there was a big conversation about that based on a Mark Rosewater post, and it is true. So it is true. So yes, it is true that the original idea of Garfield is you wouldn't know all the cards and you would, see him from your friend or ante him around. That part is true. On the other hand, I wish I could ask Garfield this, but I would be very surprised if his intention was to do this by just printing like so many different versions of cards or unreadable cards with unreadable fonts or whatever. I don't know if that was really his design. Like, I don't think his thinking was, you know what? If I just make 40 million different Magic cards, no one will ever know what they all are, and that'll be super fun. I don't think that was his intention. And, like, I think he thought that people would buy a couple packs and play with them, and that would be their extent of engagement with the game. And then eventually you'd play someone that got different stuff in their pack and be like, oh, it's really cool. That's a card I've never seen. Not just like, the mass of having so many cards that the human brain cannot keep up with it. So I think it's one of those things that's like technically true, but I don't know if it's like really the way that he intended it to be true, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Garfield didn't see it. I think he's talked about that. He's been upfront about that. No one, I mean, look at all the games in the 90s. Look at all the card games. There were so many different card games in the 90s that sprung up right after Magic, or around the same time, competing with Magic, and pretty much all of them have failed and just died. I guess like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh are still around, but so many games came and went that's what I think that they expected to happen with Magic as well. Oh, come on, Counterbalance. You know what? Let's see if we can do it this way. Omen of the Sea. Scry us into a 4, like a Jace, to counter this One Ring. Terminus in Solitude. Well, bottom. And bottom. Oust. Okay, Jace on top. Jace on top. Hollowed Mountain. All right, you get a One Ring. Did you see the video of Mark ranking his mechanics? As expected, Cascade and Morph were in the top 10. So he did a panel on that at MagicCon Chicago. Magic as Garfield intended is 20 Max Pearls and 40 Charizards. That is literally the game that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friends. Yeah, I did see. So actually, the panel I did with Mark was right after he did his 20 best mechanics panel. So I got to talk to him a little bit in between the panels. So he showed me the list he was working off of, and Cascade was the one that I mentioned. I was like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, yes, a lot of these look pretty good. Like, I think I agree with most of them, but it is 3 mana to crack an Omen. But we can just bounce the One Ring with the Teferi and draw another card. Well, all right, Scalding Tarn. Go. Could use, I don't even know. Maybe this deck wants the One Ring. The One Ring might be good in this deck. But yeah, I thought his list, and obviously Mark knows Magic as well as anyone, so his list was very solid, but he also said, he mentioned in his we're almost out of lands. He mentioned during his panel that he thinks Cascade's a good mechanic when it's played randomly and chaotically. Like, when played as intended, he thinks it's a pretty good mechanic, which is true. I actually think that Cascade is a very good mechanic when it's played randomly. I think it's actually kind of a fun mechanic where it's like, hey, I cast my Bloodbraid Elf and I get a random thing that's mana value 3 or less. That's actually pretty fun. I actually like Cascade in that context. The problem is, it's just, that's not how it's played in competitive 60-card formats. In competitive 60-card formats, it's played as... do the same thing over and over again every time. Well, run out the Counterbalance. Pass the turn. So One Ring's popping off. This deck doesn't have a lot of action to it. Not a lot of card draw. I feel like our opponents always have 7 cards in hand, and we always have like 1 card in hand, which that doesn't seem like a very good control deck. Not a very good control deck if your opponents are just constantly outdrawing you. But such is life. Come on, deck. I don't even think we got lands left in our deck. Polluted Delta. Pass the turn. Whew, I'm about to give up on this deck. Could have looked at 2 more cards to counter the ring. Yeah, maybe it's worth sacking the Omen there. Our odds of countering it are very, very low. We have, I believe, a single Jason Mind Sculptor left in our deck that costs 4 mana. So the odds are not very high. Opponent going to grief. I mean, we don't have anything meaning. Oh. All right. Well, I mean, so we have Entreat on top. This might be enough. We have the Teferi. So our opponent can't interact with the Entreat. So they can't like drown in the locket or whatever. So we should be able to just make a million angels and hopefully win. Shoulder the Apocalypse. Yep. I mean, we're leaving the Entreat on top. We need these angels. So opponent's going to gain an absurd amount of life with the One Ring / Shieldred. And a Voidwalker that we can't counter. Yeah, Counterbalance seems very easy to play around in Modern. Maybe Counterbalance is just not a good card. All right, opponent passes. Well, here comes the Entreat the Angels. Is it even enough? I guess we're about to find out. So we draw Entreat the Angels. We get drained. We reveal it. We crack the fetch. I'm not even sure if we have an untapped land left to get. Okay, we have drawn almost every land. All right, grab an island. We get drained. I mean, we're going to pour all of our mana into this. So we get to make 6 4/4s, 7 4/4s. All right. Well, make a bunch of angels. We've entreated. Is it enough? Well, that was our draw for the turn. We have Teferi. What do we do with Teferi? We need to not die. Our opponent gets to gain an absurd amount of life. There's nothing. So Entreat without a mana cost isn't that good. They can Solitude off the Voidwalker. So we bounce the ring. We lose the Teferi. We take 2. So we'd be at 8, 7, 6, 5. I do like that reduces the life gain with Shieldred. Oh, we're going to take 2 more on our upkeep, too. And, Bowmasters. So if we activate Teferi, we go to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. If they have Bowmasters, 2, 1. Is that right? Yeah, I don't know if we can bounce a ring, but we could bounce Shieldred. Just to tax their mana. Yeah, all right. Let's maybe it's better just not to do any of that. Maybe we just bet that they don't actually have an answer. That might be the best plan here. So let's just take up Teferi and pass the turn and see what happens. Voidwalker? I don't know if bouncing Voidwalker is that good. Well, if we survive this turn, we have a lethal board of angels. We'll see if we survive. Opponent. Drown Catacombs. I haven't seen. And Sunken Hollow. Opponent has a unique mana base. Opponent, Fatal Push. Come on, Counterbalance. Do something for once in your dang life. Hey! 1 on top. You did it, Counterbalance. For once in your dang life, you actually did it. You actually did it. Oh, it did it. It Counterbalance did a thing. Oh, okay. Okay, Counterbalance. Busted. Did we break it? 10% of the time it works every time. All right, so opponent gains 8 off of the Shieldred. They know they can't resolve ones. I mean, they can sack the Voidwalker for a Solitude, but we still have enough Angels, right? We have a lot of power in the air. They shouldn't have a Sweeper. Opponent goes to combat. Opponent gets, wow, attacking with the Voidwalker. I mean, maybe they just kill us. We take it. So they're not casting anything with the Voidwalker. Down to... Why do we not lose? Oh, they attacked the Teferi? Okay. Plays another Voidwalker. Sure. I mean, don't we just win? I guess we're behind on clock. Maybe they're just playing for the clock here. About it. All right, more 1-rings. Well, so much for that. Opponent, protection for another turn. Oh, the 1-ring. Yeah. Well, I feel like this deck is pretty bad. I think we got to cross this one off the list. So, chat, what are your ideas? You got any good ideas for... It really is 10% of the time with these counterbalances. I wasn't joking. That actually is the percent of the time it counters something. I mean, we know we're drawing an oust, so we can oust the Shieldred. We just don't... We can't deal lethal. Psychogenic Probe. Oh. Psychogenic Probe might be too janky. I like the idea. So I think the sweet spot is we ideally want a deck that's like jank enough to be exciting, but also has some chance of winning some games. So we don't want to go full on like 20% win percentage against the odds. We want to get the like 40% win percentage against the odds. I think that's the goal. Necrotic Ooze combo. Ooh, that would be spicy. We have a new donation from Lucid. How can we get out of this? A $5 donation. Hey, says, speaking of counterbalance, check out my 4-color Omnath build I recently rebuilt into Enchantress/Stacks. Lots of ways to fix the top card for counterbalance. Ooh, let me see, Lucid. Thank you so much for the donation. Let me play this turn. I'll look at it. Yeah, the second 1-ring probably just ruins our day. So I guess we have to get rid of Shieldred. Or maybe it's... Yeah, let's get rid of a Voidwalker. I guess we can block Shieldred. This 1-ring Shieldred is just going to gain so much life, though, that we're not even going to have lethal after all of this. Well, try to block the bounce the Voidwalker past the turn. No point in attacking because the 1-ring exists. Unfortunately, past the turn. I mean, maybe we just got to play the 1-ring in this deck. I am very jealous that our opponent has 7 cards and we have 0. Technically 1, but really 0. little jealous of that. Let's look at this. Let's look at this Omnath deck. Ooh, the Glacial Chasm. Nice. Fog meta. Confirmed to be real. Lunar Force. Ooh, that does look very annoying to play against, Lucid. I love it. Oh, that does look sweet. Lunar Force showed up in one of our Commander Clash games recently, and boy, that card is annoying. No one wants to do anything. It just like slows the whole game down to like a ridiculous crawl because no one wants to be the person to cast their spell into it and get it countered. So like 5 turns go past or whatever before anyone does anything. Found it. Combat. Gets in with a Voidwalker. Hits us. Plays another 1-ring. Gets protection for another turn. Down to 5. All right. Come on, Omen of the Sea. Show us that 4 on top. And countered. All right. So come on, not Omen of the Sea. Show us a 3. Well, we need the 4 still. It's a 2. All right. Yeah, I think that does it. Ugh, brutal. Brutal. Jeez. Oh god, there's there's no way we can do this in time. We're playing this way. This might have been the worst choice of a deck for stream. Not only is it apparently bad, but wow, does it not work well with time. We have like 3 minutes, and there's no way we can win that amount of time. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. Can you do a Pride of the Whole Clan deck? Gotta be able to easily win off drawing 15 cards. We did Pride of the Whole Clan in Standard very recently, like a couple of weeks ago, and it's actually very hard to draw 15 cards with it in a competitive format. I think in Commander it might be a little easier, right? In Commander, I mean, there's subtleties. There's subtleties in the sideboard. I think the deck doesn't feel like it has enough card advantage to me. I don't know how someone 5-0'd with this. It just feels like we're constantly like, So like the whole gimmick of the deck is Counterbalance. And the idea of like Surveillance is cute, but it still seems like Counterbalance just triggers so infrequently. And then we just like run out of cards, and Counterbalance triggers at random numbers and our opponent kills us. I mean, we can't take out Counterbalance. If we ran into like a deck where it was useless, but that's the whole reason. That's really the only reason, the primary reason at least, that we're playing the deck. So I don't think we can take that out, because if we're not counterbalancing, then I don't think we'd even play this deck. So I guess we just got to go in like turbo mode. I thought the entreat would get it done, but not quite. Not quite. I guess Brainstone's pretty brutal against. It's good with Counterbalance, but pretty brutal against Bowmasters. All right, 3 minutes. Can we win with this deck in 3 minutes? Here we go. This hand is pretty bad. We will mulligan. This hand, all right, Counterbalance. Let's do it. Let's do it. So we'll just put a land to the bottom. Keep this so we can maybe Jace it back on top eventually. Yeah, top is a little annoying. I can see why top is banned. I don't think that one's coming back. But I mean, Miracles worked in Legacy without top. I think a more realistic thing that would improve the deck a ton would just be man, why does my green screen keep moving? A more realistic addition was probably just Brainstorm. Like something like Brainstorm would go a long way. The Surveil lands are cute, but they haven't really felt like enough to really make a Counterbalance consistent. Delphi Guru for the 26 months. Welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super cheer for you. Thank you. And a grief. Sure. Back after floundering a job interview. Oh no, did it not go well, Ario? I don't know. I think we're floundering with Miracles, so I guess we're about equal. We're about equal. They take the Counterbalance, so now our hand does nothing. We draw an Oust. Yeah, I'm probably gonna give up on this deck. You always goldfish your job interviews. Uphold it, Polluted Delta. And passes. I mean, the problem is not only do we need to win in 2 minutes with this deck, which, that is not a lot of time for this deck. Not a lot at all. I mean, Teferi doesn't really help us win, but I guess it makes our opponent counter something. That's kind of some amount of value. Polluted out to crack it. You know what I think the issue is? We don't have any Modern Horizons cards in this deck, do we? I mean, I guess that's not true. We have a Subtlety in hand, but not enough. We don't have enough. We don't have any Lord of the Rings cards. Maybe that's the issue. That's the problem. Teferi about to get countered by a... Oh, okay. Runs out of Orcish Bowmaster. Sure. Sure. 1 minute and 40 seconds. I don't think that's happening. Take it up past the turn. Powdered untaps. Well, you will F6. We need a golem. We need a golem. Not enough golems in this deck. That's the real issue. No Frodo. Opponent. Thought seizes the Subtlety. And... Oh no. Gets in at the Teferi. Alright. Down to 3. Terminus in hand. Not doing much. Oust. Well, take up Teferi. Pass the turn. Counterbalance Lantern Control. Ooh. I mean, I do like Lantern. Lantern is a fun deck. Lantern is also like a pretty bad deck now, but Lantern, oh man, every time I play Lantern, I have fun playing Lantern. There's gotta be some super spicy combo we can play for the Super League and just get everyone. Oh, seriously. All right, there's no way we're winning in the proper amount of time. We could play that Big Brain Infect deck. Wow. Well, Ooh. All right, let's just switch to Arena. Play a couple matches of something on Arena. So, what do we learn about miracles in Modern? And I mean, I'm sure there's things we could have done better, but overall, I'll say I think even with Surveil Counterbalance, still not really getting the job done. Not really doing it. The Surveillance did not seem to be enough. Maybe we didn't hit the right matchups, but yeah, Miracles. I used to love this deck too. Miracles, when Jace first became unbanned, was like so cool and it was sweet and it actually worked, but yeah, I don't know. I think we give up on the Miracles. It takes a miracle to win with Miracles. Should play Oops all board wipes in Timeless. Ooh. Avert your eyes. I mean, the only thing is, Timeless, I don't know if all board wipes would work in Timeless. Because Timeless is not really about creatures. Like, every once in a while you play against a creature deck. But how would you build a deck, Avion? This is one someone played on Moto. It definitely felt pretty underpowered to me. This is the first time I played it, but it definitely felt not very powerful. It felt like it was doing like it definitely felt like Modern on hard mode. Like we were doing a lot of work to try to make Counterbalance happen. And even when Counterbalance happened, it was kind of like, oh, okay, like sure. You could have just done that with a Spell Pierce, and not built your entire deck around this enchantment. So its best case was like, hey, you got a counter spell. People, the good news about the Lelia deck, Pure, is I think it'll die off quickly because the deck doesn't have a lot of replayability. The deck is really funny and it's really cheap to put together. And if your opponent doesn't know what's going on, I think it's actually pretty effective, but it just does the same thing every time. So I imagine give it a day or two, and I bet people will get tired of it. Yeah, Preordain's probably good in the deck. The challenge is there's no Brainstorm. So the deck, I think the idea of the deck that we just played, and like I said, I'm not the one that built it, so I guess I can't really say exactly what the I can't really say exactly what the person was thinking, but I think because there's no brainstorm to set up your, and there's no Sensei's Divining Top, obviously, but since there's no brainstorm to set up Counterbalance at instant speed, I feel like the deck's playing like Omen of the Sea over Preordain to try to have more instant speed ways to set up Counterbalance. But when it comes down to it, it might just not be worth it. It just might not be worth like the effort of it. So maybe Preordain's just better than Omen, but maybe like just Counterbalance is not worth even playing in the deck. Like maybe it'd just be better off if you forget about trying to Counterbalance and you're just like blue-white control with Terminus. So kind of like Miracles, quote unquote, but without the Counterbalance effects. What are your thoughts on unbanning Twin in Modern? I think Twin is perfectly fine to unban. The power of Modern is so ridiculously high because of Universes Beyond and Modern Horizons that I don't think that Twin would be a tier deck. Oh, okay, and not that it wouldn't be a tier deck. I'm not convinced Twin would be a tier 1 deck. I'm very convinced it would not be the best deck in Modern, and I would be surprised if it was a tier 1 deck. I think that I'm not sure it's better than Murktide. Like when I look at the decks in Modern, and like I'm not sure like is it even change? Like if they unban Twin, are you gonna drop your Ragavans and DRCs and Ledger Shredders and Murktides and play Pester Mites and Deceiver Exarchs in a world of Unholy Heats and Fatal Pushes and Counterspells? I don't think so. Like, I think that Twin was a product of its time. Let's see. Actually, this would be kind of fun. Let's actually look up. Let's look up what Twin looked like when it was in Modern. So before it got banned. So if we go back and look at the history of Modern, let's go professional here. So Splinter Twin, Grand Prix Pittsburgh 2015. So we're going on 9 years now since Twin was banned. Here's what it looked like. So Deceiver Exarchs and Pester Mites. Deceiver Exarch Pester Mites to go with the Splinter Twin. The spells, that was back when Cryptic Command and Electrolyze were pretty good. That's when people paid Roast, because you really had to kill that You really had to kill that Tarmogoyf. You had to kill that Tarmogoyf. Now we have we have Unholy Heat. We have, like, compare Roast to Unholy Heat. Unholy Heat is 6 damage to creature or planeswalker. Yes, I know you got to turn it on, but that's like it's very easy to turn on. It's always turned on, like unless there's a graveyard day, but it's like pretty much always turned on. But this is like 6 damage to a creature or planeswalker for 1 mana instant speed. Back in the Twin era, people were playing Roast, 5 damage to a creature without flying for 2 mana its sorcery speed. It's dropped down by an entire mana, and it's instant, and it deals more damage, and it hits planeswalkers and creatures that have flying. So it's such a different world. It's such a different world that we live in. I don't think that Twin would be good. I think the thing that people miss when we have these conversations, or they don't think through, is just the removal that's been added to the format. Back then, Twin was like fighting against it was like, oh, it's really good because Lightning Bolt and Deceiver Exarch doesn't die to Lightning Bolt, and that was like that was the removal that you had access to. Look at the spells that see play today in Modern. The world is so much different. Like, how many of the spells that are seeing heavy play even existed back then? So then you could kill Twin with a Bolt or a Dismember. Now you have access to Fatal Push. You have access to Leyline Binding. You have access to Flame of Venor. You have access to cards like Stern Scolding, which would counter all the combo pieces. There's just you have access to Literal Counterspell, Unholy Heat. You have the Evoke Elementals, the Subtleties, and the Solitude. You have the Grief stripping the cards from your hand. The world's so much different. I don't think Twin would be good at all. I think it would be like a lower tier 2 deck. Pod is kind of scary. Pod is kind of scary. The thing about Pod, I would be on board with unbanning Twid and also unbanning Pod. The only concern I would have with Pod is creatures keep getting better. And WotC prints a lot of good creatures now. And Pod's power is kind of roughly tied to the power of creatures. So the more good creatures there are, the better Pod is. So that would be my concern. I don't think Twin is like that. Twin is like stuck in a time capsule in 2015. It is like, sure, maybe you get like a Force of Negation now or something, some like utility spell around the edges, but it is what it is. Here's the combo. Here's what it does. It's always going to do that same thing. Pod keeps getting better and better set by set. Isn't Eldritch Evolution? I really want to build Taxes in Timeless because I've been thinking about this for a couple of days now. So if you have suggestions, let me know, because last I played Timeless, I was playing against Show and Tell like 50% of matches, and I feel like the way to wreck, absolutely just stomp all over the Show and Tell decks is to be a Taxes deck. I don't know, like if you just stack up the Taxes, I think you get them. Archon of Emeria, yep. That's a good one. Archon of Emeria. What else? What do we have in the 1-drop slot? Can we play Inspectors? Are they just too underpowered? I was thinking about playing like a Thraben Inspector or something, but maybe it's just too underpowered. What about Paulo? Is Paulo worth it? Ooh, Boros Prison. Let me see. I do like prison decks. So Thalia, Esper, Sentinel, Lavinia. I guess we play Swords. Swords seems worth it. I mean, I guess an easy way to do this is to... One thing I like to do brewing for Timeless is look at similar decks in Legacy. Because I think that might be the most similar format as far as like the kind of decks that you're going to be facing. So I think that looking at Legacy can give you a pretty good idea of like, here's the kind of things that you're looking for, I would say. Ooh, assemble the players. Okay, assemble the players, Flowering, Thalia, Aven, Mind Sensor. Mind Sensor might be worth it. Mind Sensor to get fetches does seem pretty good. Blood Moon. I do love me some Blood Moons. How is Chalice been? Chalice is a card I'm intrigued by. So this is what Legacy Death and Taxes looks like. So Skyclave's probably worth it. It's kind of a catch-all. We don't have a Stoneforge. We don't have Mother of Runes. We do have Giver of Runes. Do you think Giver of Runes is worth it? Tidebinder seems worth it. Tidebinder, Giver of Runes. Ooh, Tithe Taker could be worth considering. I think Meddling Mage is worth it somewhere in the 99. I don't know if Meddling Mage is main deck or sideboard, but I do think we want some Meddling Mages somewhere. Yeah, I'm surprised. Ether Vial seems like an easy addition. I gotta get a Blood Moon altar. I met someone in Chicago that had a Blood Moon tattoo. I've always thought about getting a Blood Moon tattoo, but I wasn't sure how it would look. So now I play too much Commander now in the main deck, not in the 99. I don't think we're gonna Yarion. I don't think it's worth it. I've never really liked Yarion in Taxes. Does Dranith Magistrate do enough? Is that worth it? And also, what about Paulo? So we could go like a couple of Elite Spellbinders. We need 2-drops. Archon. I kind of like the idea of even Mind Sensor, although Mind Sensor does... We also need to keep Bowmaster in mind. That's the other thing. If you're not show and telling, you're probably Bowmasting. Elishorn is sweet. 5 mana might be a little bit too much. Do we care about shutting down ETBs? Like, does that even matter? Yeah, I can get rid of the 0/0. A couple containment priests seem fine. Doorkeeper. I mean, so Meddling Mage Doorkeeper Thrall. I don't know if we need him in the main or the sideboard. I feel like, what about Brainstorm? Yeah. Wingmare is interesting. The problem I have with it, it's a yeah, it gets sniped by Bowmaster, and it's like an expensive Thalia. Teferi's Pro is kind of funny. Get Lost. Do we have swords? Do we need to get lost if we have swords? Yeah, we do want to try to, like, some number of one toughness creatures is going to be inevitable. Like, we need Thalia. I kind of want to try Mind Sensor. I guess we can also just have we can also just plan on sideboarding them out. Yeah, what do you think about Solitude? What do you think about Solitude coming to Arena? I feel like it might be a good thing. I'm kind of leaning towards it being a good thing at the moment. All right, so a couple of Get Lost. Rest in Peace. I guess we can build our sideboard real quick while we're figuring out our last couple cards. Rest in Peace. So we have swords. Dovin's Veto. Yeah, Fury would be bad. The only thing with Coco in this deck is we're kind of taxing it with, like, Thalia's. Maybe that's still fine despite a little non-bowing. What about, is there a way we can buff our creatures? What's the best way that we can buff our creatures? Because if we can buff our creatures' toughness. So Narset, we don't have really anything to hit on it. What about Dovin? Dovin's like artifacts, instants, and sorceries. So it's like almost a Thalia, or I guess Vryn's Wingmare, except it doesn't get sniped as much by... It doesn't get sniped as much by Bowmasters. The War of the Spark had so many Staxy Planeswalkers. That set. Let me read Flowering of the White Tree. So legendary creatures get +2/+1 in Ward 1. Non-legendary +1/+1. That could actually be worth it. That might be the way to go. Wedding Announcement's good, but it's going to take a minute to flip. Maybe we try a couple Flowerings. And let's go full in on the land destruction. Do we want Stifle? Stifle's a little hit or miss. When it works, it's amazing. When it doesn't work, it's sad. Oh yeah, that's right. We have Teferi's. We might as well. I think Teferi's definitely worth it. Unbalanced Teferi is kind of ridiculous. All right, let's try something like that. All right, what else? We have 3 more sideboard slots, chat. What else do we need on the sideboard? Where's our fetches? All right, so Flooded Strands in. Couple Polluted Deltas, couple Windswepties. Hallowed Fountains in. They gotta add the original dual lands. I'm surprised they haven't added original dual lands yet. We'll play a couple Field of Ruins. Leonin Arbiter too. We need a Leonin Arbiter. That's another easy addition. Let's add a Field of Ruin. Yeah, I could see I don't think we can go super deep on Surveil lands because we do kind of want to curve out, but 2 is probably fine. Krusty back, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big soup cheer for you. Thank you. Let's go 2 fields. Maybe just this is fine. 3 plains, 1 island, 2 surveil lands, only 3 hallowed fountains. All right, let's go 2 plains, 1 island. Yeah, we can do that. Maybe something like that. The only thing is, so number 1 enemy is show and tell. That's number 1. So we got to make sure we meet show and tell. If we're not beating show and tell, then we're doing it. You know what? Let's play a Settle the Wreckage. No one plays Settle the Wreckage in this format. I feel like Settle might actually be able to get some people. And let's just go 1 more Meddling Mage. Oh, Mana Tithe. Yeah. Yes, of course. Of course. All right, 1 in the main, 1 in the sideboard. And we'll go down 1. Let's go down 1 to Fairy. Boom. We got a deck. Let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, I feel like taxes should be good in this format. I feel like it should. I don't know. Maybe no one's playing show and tell anymore and it's horrible. You gotta say, it's about sending a message, Standy. You gotta take into account the psychological damage of a Mana Tithe. Like, if you get someone with a counter spell, whatever, they expect to be got by a counter spell. That's gonna happen. When you get them with a Mana Tithe, it really sets them back. They don't play the same for like a few turns. Like, that's the real value of Mana Tithe. Could we see Mono White Quench in Modern Horizons 3? I think a Mono White Memory Lapse is more likely. I don't think we're going to see White do mana taxing counter effects anymore. I think it's more likely to be temporary counter spells. We saw the Reprieve, which is like Remand. I could see, we already have like bad Memory Lapse, like Lapse of Certainty, which is like 3 mana Memory Lapse. I think that's how we should get more white counters. I'd be fine with a Quench. I don't know how good. Would White Quench be good? I don't even know if it'd be good. Whew. All right, we got a Mana Tithe. We got a Mana Tithe. That's all that really matters. Our opponent are they show and telling? Does Jingatha mean show and tell? Hello, opponent. Well, we need another colored source of mana for this Lavinia here. Lavinia is one of the best cards against Omniscience. God-Fearer statue, just so much. So much mana. Deathrite Shaman. Deathrite's another one of those cards that's, I think, like, people remember how scary it was in Modern a decade ago when all those removal spells we talked about a minute ago didn't exist. I don't think it would be as scary now. Like, I don't think it would be nearly as scary now. Why did our opponent say oops? Now they're dashing a Ragavan. I see. Opponent steals a Giver of Runes that they can actually cast. That's awkward. This is not the matchup that we build our deck for. This is not the... Oh, here I can switch. This is not the matchup. Yeah, all right, now we're on arena mode. This is not the matchup that we build our deck for. Not at all. Not at all. Well, we can play this Lavinia. Oh, so it's Zoo. Okay. So apparently people are not only playing show and tell. Opponent gets in for 3. Hits us. Sure. Down to 15. And Brawler. I'll play the land. Oh, our creatures are so small. Opponent. Breakout. Is it even worth countering this? We could just add to the Mana Tithe counter, but is that even good? We do have the sideboard, the one of sideboard settle. I know, you're supposed to just be playing your combo deck into our tax deck, not your creature deck. I think we gotta let it. I think we need to play a Tidebinder to trade with a Brawler here. Oh, this actually works out hilariously well. Oh, this is literally the dream. So now we get to Tidebinder to kill the Kavu and trade with the Brawler. Oh, this was this was definitely the right choice. All right, yeah, Tidebinder. Tidebinder pretty good against Territorial Kavu. Kill it, kill the Brawler, and we got a game. We got a game. Hallowed Fountain, untapped. Pass the turn. Yeah, because this has an ability. It's a 0/0 without the domain ability. If it loses all abilities, it just dies. Oh, I'm sorry, Dark Boy. Opponent's gonna dash a Ragavan. Okay. Goes to combat. Swings. Well, we'll run out of Mind Sensor. Opponent cracks. We got to be aware of Bolt, too. And Tribal Flames. Well, block. Kill the Ragavan. Down to 5, which is Tribal Flames range. Well, play it to Fairy. Oh, okay. They bolted the... Oh, that's actually really good. That's good for us. That's really good for us. Bounce the Nikado, draw a card. That means the bolt's not going in our face. Can we get a Mana Tithe? Can we get a Mana Tithe here? Come on. Come on. Ooh, okay, we can't... Actually, maybe. Maybe. We can't stop that, but we could stop the Nikado. Come on, play that Nikado. Play that Nikado. Oh, Mana Tithe. Got him! Got him. Got him, got him, got him. Yes, that was nice. I agree. Okay, just pass the turn. Pass the turn. Mana Tithe counter. Mana Tithe. I'm liking this deck more than the Miracle deck already. Opponent. Deathrite. Shaman. Sure. And... Alright. I'm liking it less. Oh, no mana Tithe counter at the moment because... Oh, there's our one settle. Our one good card. No Mana Tithe counter at the moment just because I wasn't expecting to play Mana Tithe. We just built this deck. So get lost in. What do we go down? So Thalia's pretty jank. Lavinia's even more jank. The land destruction stuff is okay. I mean, Mana Tithe is fine. Lavinia just... Does it do anything? So it stops Leyline Binding. I guess that's something. That is technically something. Archon of Emeria doesn't really do anything. Meddling Mage? You know what? Let's just run it like that. I think we're good. Yeah, we played Miracles in Modern up to now. We just put this deck together. Miracles in Modern, my goodness. Did not feel great. What's the opposite of great? Poor? Horrible? Whatever the opposite is how Miracles felt in Modern. Or poor counterbalances. They just did not counter or balance. Let's just play a fast lane go. Portable. Portable's about right. Opponent. Wooded Foothills and passes. Well, play the island. Play the Thalia. Go. So Thalia does a little. Thalia's good at blocking Ragavan. I'll give it that at least. It is good at blocking Ragavan. So reminder, so next week's stream is going to be the Modern Super League. Or Moto Masters, whatever it's called now. I believe it's Moto Masters now. But that's going to be on Wednesday, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So, little change for the stream schedule, just for that 1 week. But it should be worth it. It should be a really fun show. I'll play the land pass the turn. Opponent, Wooded Foothills, and... Yeah, I mean, I guess we just swords it. Good old 2-mana swords. Who's in the Super League? Let me see if I can pull it up again. So I believe there's 16 players altogether. So here's who we got so far. Wow. All right, sure. Well, in that case, let's Flight of Strand for Planes. We do need to swords this thing. Swords the Brawler. And then just pass with the Tidebinder up. So here's who's been announced so far. So Nikachu, probably gonna play some Merfolk perhaps, I would guess. Corbin Hosler, Jarvis Wu, Eduardo Seglek, Jake Beardsley, Arya, and Emma, and Luna, and Brad Nelson, and Carmen, and me, and Reed, and Spike, and Corey, and I think that's all that's been announced. But I think there's 16 players altogether, so I think there is more to be announced in the future. How many basics do you think our opponent's playing? Probably not many, right? It shouldn't be many. How many can you possibly play in the domain deck? Did we get just turn like immediate strip mine? That would be sweet. That would be sweet. They probably have one. I guess my guess would be one. Yeah, so I guess we need to opponent has the planes. So we probably should build an anti-Merfolk deck. Ooh, wait. 2. Do you have 2 opponents? No way. There's no way you got 2. No way. No way. I don't believe it. We don't have 4. No. There's no way you're... Oh my goodness, they're playing 2. No. Oh no. Oh, I think we're going to die because of that. I really thought they would have 1 basic. I really expected 1 basic out of them. Yeah, we actually just strip mined ourselves there. By the way, if you want to add another finisher to your Doppelgate deck, consider Awaken the Woods. Consuming die doesn't get rid of the tokens since they are lands. That being said, lost my mirror after my opponent on Arena maxed the amount of tokens you can currently create. Ooh, that does sound sweet. Could you explain what this Super League thing is exactly? I'm an old head around here, but somehow I missed whatever it is. So, we did a few of them before, oh boy, like 6 years ago. We did a Team Modern Super League, and I think an individual one as well. But it's basically a, like, friendly tournament, more or less. So the way it works is, I believe there's 16 players altogether. We each bring a modern deck, and over the next month, the first episode's actually tomorrow. I'm not on that one. You do 1 week out of the month for the next 2 months. So it starts tomorrow when 4 people will be playing, and basically you play against each other. And if you're not playing, you do commentary for the other people. It's supported by Wizards and Magic Online, and so forth. So I think it's going on 9 years. Yeah, I was actually, if you want to see, I will actually, let me see if I pull this up. All right, let's finish this match and I will show you. I have fond memories of it. So the Super League, if you've been here a really long time, and I mean going back to the very early days, you might remember the no face cam era of content when I was just a voice talking into the void. The actual like face reveal was on the Super League back in the day. I think that was the first time I was ever on camera for any content. This should be fine though, right? So Tashana's Tidebinder, even though there's a Veil of Summer, it can still target the trigger. It just can't target our opponent's stuff, but it can target the trigger. So it gets rid of the territorial combo. Yeah, sorry opponent, that's not exactly the way that works. And now we can block here and also protect. Yeah, I think everyone thought my face didn't match my voice. So we need what? Pro greed. But anyway, so basically we'll play next Wednesday with our pod of 4 people. We'll play again the following month, 1 week in a similar way. And then depending on how well you do, you'd go on potentially to like the top 4 or the top 8. So I think it's like 3 months altogether with 1 show a week. But we only do 1 show a month. So we'll do the one next week, and then in another month we'll have round 2. Unless we make it to the top 8, then we would keep going. Orcish Bowmasters, eh? Well, I mean, I guess we just keep stifling. No one plays around the second Tidebinder. Stifle the Bowmaster. Pass the turn. There are prizes. The prizes, so it's mostly supported on Magic Online. So I think the prizes are a bunch of treasure chests. So if we do well, we'll have to do a mass treasure chest opening stream where we crack a bunch of chests. Are we winning this? I think we might be winning this. Let's play Teferi. I mean, I think we just beat down with the Tidebinders. I'm known for my hit ya. Opponent. We're at 9, so we're not really in danger of dying to a burn spell yet. Opponent blocks. Down to 9. Tick up the Teferi. Trust me. Play the Surveil land. Something good on top? Maybe. Wow, that would actually be super good right this turn, but I don't think it's good next turn. Sorry, Manatide. Pass the turn. I remember discovering you when you were playing like Illusions a long time ago. Back like you were it was like you were a whole different person back then. That Illusions, I think someone had me sign a Phantasmal Bear in Chicago when we were talking about it, and I'm pretty sure Illusions is the 3rd ever against the odds episode. And now there's what is the number? I think we're in the 400s. But yeah, that was a long time ago. Opponent. Booing. Boo. And grows it.
Go big or actually go big. Just go.
Gonna attack the Teferi. Oh, we could lose to a Tribal Flames, actually. That is an actual concern. We draw a useless land. We'll take up Teferi.
I've got it.
I mean, we gotta kill the Minskimbu, right? Or else they sack this to draw 4 and for us. You know what? I think we do it like this: attack, attack, attack. Because we also need to be able to win next turn. Hit you to 5. Pass the turn. Hold. Oh, I love that Troll Worship deck. That's a deck that that's another one. We were talking about Old Modern and how things have changed. That's another one that... Oh, just thinking Jingatha, okay. Although Jingatha's kind of big. Well, playing Esper Sentinel. I mean, I think this is what we got to do. Pro red. There's definitely still a window where we're dead to a Tribal Flames. I don't think we're dead to a Lightning Bolt at least, but we are dead to a Tribal Flames. Opponent goes to 2. Come on. Nothing. Opponent, Windswept Heath. Do they have a Surveil land for the value? Troll Worship's another one of those decks that it was really good in its era, but it just doesn't work anymore. There's too many incidental ways to hate it out. Do we play around Tribal Flames? So if we block here, we play around Tribal Flames. But how does it go wrong? If our opponent kills Tidebinder, it's fine. If they have Tidebinder removal plus a blocker, it's bad. If they have 2 different colored blockers, it's bad. I guess this is our best bet. All right, block. Yeah, I think we got to play around Tribal Flame and just hope that we have lethal this turn, which we have decent. Okay, a land is good. Opponent passes. I mean, we should be good, right? Tidebinder, attack, only 1 card in hand. Veil of Summer for no value. Oh, we got there. We got there. Oh, let me see. Let me see if I can find this. You'll probably... So this was the Super League I did before. So this was... When was this? 6 years ago. So yeah. There it is, the initial face cam. I think I have the same hat. No, that's a little bit different, but the initial face cam reveal of all time. But basically, it's like usually about 4 hours for an episode. People go through their rounds. If I'm not playing, I'll probably be doing commentary for the other people playing. It's a lot of cool people. It's fun. It's a tournament, but it's supposed to be like an exhibition essentially, where it's pros and creators. And yeah, you want to win and get some more treasure chests. But really, I know like Spike's probably going to be playing something spicy. I'll be playing something spicy. I know a lot of people are probably going to be doing like, it's not just going to be all, whatever, Rakdos Scam versus Amulet Titan. I think people are going to try to do creative things. So hopefully it should be a fun show. It should be a fun show. That's the idea anyway. Well, let's run it back. I miss Randy. Randy was fun. Randy just loved Magic. I mean, I don't know why I'm talking about Randy in the past tense. Randy's still alive. He just doesn't, I don't think, do any Magic content stuff anymore. So the first episode of the season is tomorrow at 4:00. So it'll be on the Wizards Twitch. I believe it's the Wizards Twitch. But the first one's tomorrow. My first episode is next Wednesday. So we'll be doing that for the stream next week. I wonder if we can make new perspective cycling work for Modern. That would be pretty sweet. Opponent, Death Ray Shaman. Well, Lango. And then, I don't know exactly when my second episode will be, but it'll be like a month in the future. So, the beginning of April. But yeah, next Wednesday, I believe it's March 6th, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time is the first one. I do like that we have our settle. No one expects the settle. That might be our get out of jail free card this game. Well, play the land past the turn. Oh, we might be able to get a blowout. Uh-oh. We only have one of them in our deck. Do you know which episode you'd be? So the way it works, so I only do one weekend or one episode a month. So basically next Wednesday is the whole thing for the month. So I'll play my rounds, and on the rounds when I'm not playing, I believe there's 4 of us playing that night. So we'll play each of the other people. So I'll play each person once. On the rounds where I'm not playing, I'll do commentary for the other people who are playing. So it's all that one night. So it's only one time a month to make the commitment a little bit easier. So yeah. 36 Res turned out to be pretty funny. I'm glad that kind of worked. Well, we still have a Kavu. We are still not to... The sad thing is, 36 Res is, like, kind of good. Not a deck that I actually want to be good, but... I had a couple of people talk to me about it in Chicago, and so they were playing it with some, like added a few Planeswalkers, but are essentially still just playing it, and They made it sound like it was working really well for them. So I don't think we can. Yeah, we got to pass. I don't think we can play the Thalia because that would tax our potential settle. So we need to go land settle the wreckage, basically. And we need our opponent to swing out. Oh, boy, Ragavan. All right, this is not good. This is not good. I think we might be dead. This was not the matchup we built for. Opponent with a big attack. They do Kavu things, which is looting. Discards a land. Well, we'll flash in a Containment Priest. Block the Ragavan. Take a huge hit. And there's still a death right that can start draining us. Now, maybe not this turn because I don't have the mana, but it will in the future. Oh no, more action. Ugh, a brawler. Well, land, untap land. Oh no! Oh, and I was told they were so good. Oh, we just got Surveil land punished. Wow. I mean, that's the cost, right? That's the cost. I know a lot of, all the way back to like modern, people are playing like a couple copies in their decks, and they're so good when you fetch them out when you can afford to. But there are times when they come off the top and they're tapped and you really need them to be untapped. Like right now is a pretty good example. And yeah, now we're dead. Whoo! Wow. Well, I think the taxes deck. I don't understand why you play more than one. I mean, you often have, I think if you think of a game of like modern or depending on your deck, timeless, if you think about it, there's often at least a couple of turns during the game when you're like end step, crack a fetch to get a tap shock land where you don't actually need the mana. So I think the idea is that's where they really shine, right? When you're just gonna be fetching out a tap shock land anyway, you might as well be, yeah, it was a nice hit, mythic hit. You might as well be getting a Surveil land. So I think that 2 is probably fine. Some decks that don't really curve out play 3 even, like Rhinos in Modern that's not doing anything on turn 1 usually. Like you might as well, because then you can fetch one out on turn 1. So yeah, it's really good when it works, but there is a bit of a cost. But anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our stream for today. I've always wanted to buy some Goldfish merch, but the normal style is just not me. You guys ever think of releasing more like Ebb and Flow playmat in the future? Ooh, yeah, well, I'll see what I can do. I wish I didn't care. I'm sure there'll be something like that in the future. There's nothing like immediately like that coming down the pike that I know of. So, but I'm sure we will do something like that in the future, and I'll put in the request to do something that's a little more like that next time. Hey Seth, wasn't able to find you in Chicago. Hope you're able to find tables to play at. Some of the time we got to play at tables. Got to play some good floor magic too, the way Garfield intended. Anyway, everyone, I think that brings us to the end of our stream for today. So, yeah, next week, Super League, Wednesday, it's going to be a blast. Reminders on the way out the door, of course, replay YouTube if you missed anything. Normal YouTube, there's some really fun videos coming up on the YouTube. I'm pretty hyped about the next, like, week-ish of gameplay of decks that are coming out. A lot of stuff you've been asking about, some stuff that turned out really cool, so definitely check that out on the YouTube. One more reminder that our sponsor today is Card Kingdom, and if you need some magical cards, you can get them over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Most importantly, thank you to all of you. Y'all are amazing and awesome and spectacular. And I love you so much. Thanks for hanging out and losing a bunch of games with Miracles and brewing some taxes and Timeless. I hope you have an amazing night. Have a spectacular week. And yeah, I will talk to you soon.